Hello, Fallen. Just give me a moment to get everything in the right place. Sick. All right. This is where we left off, huh? New testimony. Ad break ends at a minute 30. I'll give it a minute 30. Hello, Han. Adelaide Han. Site manager at Sinus Security. I was like, I'm gonna wait a minute and 30, and then I was like, no, I'm fucking not. I serve as supervisor for the scene of the crime in case 356319-B. Wow, can I call you lady? Nah, babe, but what should I call you though? Oh well, you could call me babe, or you're just the adjutant as your honor. Awfully cold name for such a hot. Okay, yeah, that seems right. Why the hell wasn't this knife found sooner? Well, I hate to throw a business partner under the bus, but we at Sinus Security maintain the perimeters and stand watch over secured scenes. It's the cops who do the searching and flagging. You have to ask them why they didn't go dumpster diving. It was a drum. The police aren't your business partners, though, are they? I understand the question, Your Highness. Sinus Security is a cell corporation owned by FIC Holdings, an offshore rebranding and effective pseudonym for Kim Acquisitions, aka the heart of the criminal organization operating in the lower wards that is commonly referred to as the Blue Blood Mafia. Okay. You say so. Sounds like it's above my pay grade. Permission to treat the witness as hostile. Can I get popcorn first? Do you know why the state cooperates with the Blue Bloods to this degree? Why you're allowed to run your businesses and manage your petty fiefdoms? Petty fiefdoms? How about this? It's a free country and we're loyal, capitalist, tax-paying entrepreneurs. You got your own explanation? Because you're insignificant. Neither you nor your organization are on trial here today. That's not a favor. It's not a show of respect. It's just reality. The state is slow to shift its priorities. You aren't the focus of this investigation. But if you impede this trial's progress by dodging questions and playing stupid, you will find that the state shifts its attention to your neck very fast. You got questions for me then? Why wasn't the alley searched? Because the police found all the murder weapons within minutes. No rational person walked into that bloodbath and thought, gee, I wonder if there's a knife buried under a pile of ash in the alley downstairs. Your witness, counselor. My turn. My hunch is right. It'll be critical that I gather as much info as possible about the scene of the crime and the ways in which it changed after I left. When did Sinus Security first arrive on the premises, madam? Midnight. About 2 hours after my client was arrested, you're sure? Checked my messages and saw the time right on my phone when we got there. You were there yourself. Trouble with being a site supervisor. You gotta stay on site. Lot of naps and parked cars. Oh god, the Rhode Island almost got out. Han slipped a few details about the building setup when we first met. Then we get all of it out on record. You know who owns the building that these crimes took place in? You're from Family Guy? Shut up. Shut up! I don't. No installed the security features on location. It was Sinus. Must have gotten hired by someone. Not my department. We recognize some of the handiwork. Front door was Sinus. The individual vault room locks too. That front door was locked when officers alive. They had to shoot it open. Did security systems recognize officers of the law? Our doors used physical locks. A lot of folks in the lower wards don't trust a fob scanner that can be hacked. Physical locks can be bypassed too. Sure, but at least that takes time. Do all the doors require keys? Is there any way to lock that front door without its key? I mean, you could use a spare, right? That's not what I meant. Is there any way to lock that front door without its key? Yeah, but the technique's real complicated. You walk out and let it shut behind you. Doors tend to lock behind you automatically. The selling point for a building designed to be secure. That knife was found in the alley of only yesterday, even though the police should have searched there. Yep, seems like not everyone did their job. Did you do yours? Was the alley monitored around the clock? It was. Any disturbances in the alley? No, none. It was a warm night, I'll bet. You asked me about the weather, not exactly grade A small talk. Revelance, Your Honor. I was trying to be polite, but if you insist. Were the windows open in the building when you arrived? There's a lot of windows, not sure. The crime scene in the room directly below it. Were there windows open? Yes, those windows were open when scientists arrived. Strange, didn't it rain that night? That drizzle. Oh, 21, no problem. It was over before 9 p.m. And even if it hadn't been a town for it, it's not a crime to risk getting your windows still wet. Alright, so the building wasn't completely sealed by the time you got there. 21. Thank you, that was a very enlightening conversation, but it raises just one question. Whoever could have gotten inside the building before Chopin and Rogers? The hell are you talking about? Your Honor, perhaps Counselor Morgan might narrow down her absurd attention-grabbing claim first. So that the people can properly eviscerate it. Yeah, what she said. Someone got into the building before Chopin and Rogers did. That's become obvious. What are you talking about? The only way into that building was through the front door. Chopin had to shoot it down. Are you suggesting that he didn't even try turning the handle first? No, the door was definitely locked when those two arrived. The witness has testified that the door is designed to lock itself automatically. So it's impossible for the door to have been left unlocked. As you say, but in that case, it was locked. That's the point. Literally true. If we know that the front door was locked all night, and we know that the master key was found on Creek's body on the 3rd floor, then where do I even... What the hell are you trying to say anyway? Just that they used a spare key. Oh, a spare key. How convenient. But completely unfounded. The witnesses just testified that spare key is the only other way in. There's no proof that spare key even exists. Probably not, no. Probably. How about I show the courtroom where it was hidden instead? What? Are you saying it was under the dumpster? Morgan? Are you saying that's why? What is your assessment with evidence found in the garbage? I'm going to ignore that comment. Besides, there wasn't a spare key in the dumpster. It must have been underneath it. I wasn't super confident on that one, but at least we're in the same spot, Morgan. Huh. What? Is that true? Hey, don't look at me. I have no idea what she's talking about. The dumpster had clearly been moved as indicated by the markings left behind from dirty rain in the lower wards. There were signs it was moved. No idea if that was related to the key, basically. No idea what Morgan was going for there. You can all see those marks, Counselor, but it could have been moved at any point after the last time it rained down there. Let's just testify that the last time it rained was 9 p.m. on the night of the murder. Ooh. Sorry, give me a second. Ugh. All right. So what? Your claim is that a spare key to the front door was left underneath a dumpster? Not so dismissal from leaving a spare key under a plotted plant. Not so dissimilar, sorry. Or a setting stone or a Biwa statue. This isn't anything like either of those examples. Dumpster is massive and its wheels are long gone. Correct. If anyone had moved after the police had arrived, the cops definitely would have heard it. If it was moved after the rain stopped and before Chopin and Rogers got there. That narrows it down sometime between 9 and 10. And of course, someone would only bother to move a dumpster that heavy if they knew they'd find what they'd find underneath it. Someone like... modded arms, huh? Dead. On the scene. It had to be Han, of course. Counselor. He's an associate of the Blue Blood Mafia, an employee of the security company who installed the front door at the crime scene. Jeb knew exactly where to find a spare key. That dumpster also happens to be incredibly heavy. I don't believe this witness's mod documentation has been submitted to the court. Could you estimate for us your approximate lifting strength? Those with your back, not your arms, lady. Pushing strength, then? Me, I couldn't push over a flower. Fact is, you're just bullshitting. There's no proof of any of what you said. You can check your fingerprints on the front door. You'll find them because I used it plenty of times. It's my job. You check your fingerprints on the dumpster. Thing's filthy. You'll get nothing but partials from a bunch of unlisted and addicts and whoever else stumbled across in that around in that alley. Would we? Don't know. But after you, I might just recall how I nearly puked when I saw the crime scene. I might have stepped into that alley to catch my breath. Do you believe I rested my hands on that dumpster then? Is that a question is unproductive, Your Honor? Counselor Moore cannot substantiate her theory because the fact is there's nothing strange about Han's prints being on any centimeter of that building. Not when she spent nearly 2 full days patrolling it. Sure, fingerprints wouldn't be enough. I need something more impactful. And I've got just the thing. What? Han was there that night. She was there before the police ever were, and she was there long before scientists showed up at midnight. I can prove it right now. How? Exactly. What? How? Huh? I'm going to prove how she got there before the police did. What the hell was that? Donna, did you really have to do that again? Okay, she's talking about the silent alarm, which is fair, but what is happening right now? It's a simple whistle every time I press it. Every ad in the courtroom picks up a rather nasty frequency, as does any phone with the proper receiver app installed. So should the witness be excused so she can answer her phone, Your Honor? You brought that shit into the courtroom? Where exactly was this whistle found? The scene of the crime, of course. Near where Cree's body lay. Police must have disregarded it as a keychain or toy. Did anyone ever teach them that when you find a button, you should press it? That's the exact opposite of what you do at a crime scene. Yesterday, Dr. Sato testified that Creek was alive for several minutes after being shot. He pressed this whistle even once in that time. The witness's phone would have started getting alerts. As I demonstrated to the court just now. Anything to say for yourself, Miss Han? Did someone install the app on your phone as a prank? Deception has a limited range. Though words is a tight-knit, highly density community. How far could you have been? Far. I wasn't in the area that night. Doesn't matter what range she was at, Your Honor. Defense claims that Han entered the building with some sort of spare key. Then the front door locked behind Chopin and Rogers, yep. But those two officers did enter after they shot the lock, which means they didn't run into the witness. Creek was shot at around 9:45 p.m. Considering the time it would have taken Han to arrive and retrieve the spare key, should have only been a few steps ahead of Chopin and Rogers. After coming so far with your brilliant spare key deduction, are you now going to claim that she simply ran away? No, at that point, she would have had to hide. Only one found unlocked? They didn't see her. Logically, you must conclude that she hid in one of the rooms on that floor. That is logical, but it's only entirely conjecture. Not this time. That of Lennox has me establish the possibility. Sup, nerd? Sup? Rainbow worm? Bro, it's like 15 minutes into the stream. Remember what the good detective London testified earlier? Lauders had already apprehended the suspect, so we focused on securing the area. Sunshine and I cleared the first floor. All the rooms were empty, but one was unlocked. You teach me how to speak bracket out loud later? 2 police detectives have sworn that one vault on the first floor was found unlocked. Unlocked perhaps by a spare master key? Is that some kind of big deal? Your Honor, what Counsel Morgan is proposing would put the witness behind Officer Chopin and Rogers as they were proceeding upstairs. Not a bad place to be. You want to do some backstabbing? You've got to be shitting me. That's some creative geometry you're employing, Counselor. Imagining the witnesses as somehow getting positioned behind Tarek Chopin and somehow remaining invisible to the eyes of Officer Rogers. Oh, that's non-Euclidean crime scene recreation, very novel. Her insult sounded really smart, so I'm inclined to agree. I thought I had something. When I tried to put the cards on the table, how could Han have gotten behind Chopin on the 3rd floor? Was Rogers distracted at the window, maybe, or... Wrong question. I'm getting ahead of myself trying to work backwards at this point. I shouldn't ask what Han could have done to get in a position where she was able to kill Chopin. I should first ask what Han would have done to serve her own interests. Your Honor, there's some testimony I'd like the court to hear once more. If you could access the stenography protocol. The what protocol? I was supposed to be taking minutes for this meeting. I can recall any testimony you want to review, don't I? Han won't self-incriminate. The only testimony that could give me a clue as to her actions would be... London? Chopin? No. Yes? No. 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 Clue as to her actions. Rogers is the only one I can see being relevant here. London came in like well after the fact. Sosuke was literally like drugged out. Cite Rogers' testimony from yesterday. Start from after they enter the building. What are you fishing for? We heard a loud slam. Chopin gets all deadly serious and says I stay, and he goes ahead. That's it. The sound Rogers heard from the alley, the one that made Chopin want to form a pincer. That must have been when Han moved the dumpster? No. Loud slam. Chopin gets all dozers. Yeah, no. She was in the building. Yeah. A knife when it, I think, landed on. Like she left the building through the dumpster? Like through a window? The officer was that someone fleeing the scene. Out of the window, down the fire escape. And onto the dumpster. It's a bit of a drop. Even a dainty suspect would make quite the racket using the dumpster lid to break their fall. Now, if we had to entertain this line of conjecture, might we at least ask for proof that it ends somewhere impactful? I hear ya. Counselor Morgan, take this one seriously. You're telling me that? What exactly are you accusing this witness of? Murder Tarek Chopin? Does she have a motive? No. Yeah, whatever. Sure. Obviously I am. Counselor, you. I'm joking. Well, absolutely no one's laughing. Being the scene that caused the cops to split up. Yeah, true. In other words, at the time she left, Chopin was still alive. Oh, duh. Fucking. Duh. Duh. Fuck. She's uncooperative and has lied on this witness stand. But Ms. Han didn't kill anyone. Oof, that was anticlimactic. I mean, perjury? Who even cares? Perhaps now, Your Honor, the court can get back on track and bring this witness testimony to a close, and considering the fact that she may well have perjured herself, I think it might be a better use of the court's time if it cleared the room for the remainder of this witness's testimony. No objections, Your Honor. Okie dokie. Bailiffs, clear the gallery and move the defendant to a holding room. They're forcing us out. What the hell? Hey, tag along, would you? With Sosuke? Can't let someone with a concussion fall asleep, right? I'm certainly not still concussed at this point. See, he's delirious. Trust me. Very well, Adonai. Good luck. Place empties out faster than I thought. No gallery, no jury, live feed, no bells and whistles. You just gave your testimony to the defense, the people, and moi. Then, when you're done, I get to watch them argue over whether or not I should add to the record. So, you think I got something contentious to say? Sorry, but it's just gonna be more of the cold shoulder. What I think is that you're scared. The hell of what? Who? You? An audience. What, the pigs? You think I give a shit what any of them thinks? Says? Does? Even if any one of them might leak what you say back to the old guard? What's an old guard? The ruling faction on the blue bloods who use young bloods like this witness as their cannon fodder. Where do you learn all that? You binge a latte dine special? Just learned all this from. Matter of fact, I did. Oh god knows where my loyalties lie. I'm no snitch. So now there's someone to snitch on? I don't help state prosecutors. I definitely don't help Ikarian lawyers. Court is already emptied out. You can sit here in silence if you like. 15 minutes or not of nothing and then you walk out. But when you do, someone's gonna make assumptions about what's on in here. Telling me I'm screwed if I do, screwed if I don't ain't exactly got me feeling. Sosuke didn't kill Creek. Maybe you don't care if an Ikarian dog goes down for a crime he didn't commit, but how do you feel about the person who did put that hole in Creek's chest toasting to the news of the verdict? Screw this. 9:47 p.m., night of the murderers. I got the alarm on my phone. Knew it was Creek because the whistles all have specific frequencies. You gotta set them into your device if you want to listen for them. Creek had nerves like ice, strong bluffer. Wouldn't press that button unless he absolutely had to. I ran, was fastest that way on foot, usually is in the lower wards. I knew where the spare key was, helped set up the whole damn place, doors, keys, soundproofing. Stepped inside and had just gotten my phone lit up when those two idiot cops came up, reds and blues but no siren. Trying to be some kind of movie shit. Oh, they were gonna shoot me. Then I heard Chopin getting ready to break the lock and I knew they were gonna shoot me. Used a spare key on the nearest vault, dipped inside and prayed they wouldn't just head straight upstairs. Lucky for me they did. He followed after them. At a distance, but yeah. Saw their boots on stairs, their shoulders around corners. They split on the second floor. Went on upstairs. He was quiet except for that squeak on the fourth step. Creek used to joke that was a valuable security feature. Separated on the second floor without any prompting. Other one was stomping around the second floor, so I was able to keep my distance. Always knew exactly where that one was. Then one shouted down. He shouted, saying that everyone was dead. It must have been Chopin just before Sosuke snuck up on him. I liked Creek. His boys were alright too. But I did not want to join them in Red Hood's company. So I didn't risk sticking around for a second longer. Opened that window on the second floor and jumped for the ground. I was going to hurt my knees, fall on my ass if I had to. Ended up smacking the dumpster instead. Guy on the second floor shouted after me. They're in the alley. I heard windows slide open above me. Footsteps on the fire escape. But my knees had stopped shaking and the fog was with me. They never saw me. You're saying you never set foot on the third floor? Not until I came back hours later, a sinus rep. Nah. Where's the spare key now? Bottom of the bay. At the moment, hell of a throwing arm, as you can see. I ain't gonna help you go snorkeling around for it if that's what you're asking. Well then. People, thank you for your testimony. You've cleared up a number of oddities around this case. None of the answers you provided have changed the fundamental facts of what the defendant is accused of. Not quite. She was in and out, counselor. Didn't even set foot upstairs. I know. Not until she came back to secure the scene, right? Out with the counselor. There's no need for theatrics without the jury or gallery here. I'm still here. I do appreciate the witness being so forthcoming about her first visit to the scene. Now I just need her to explain why she started covering up evidence when she returned. What are you talking about? The knife? As soon as you talked to the bay first started. Also, I guess the knife. Right? On the second floor. Was hidden by trash? Is Morgan suggesting that this red ink, I don't remember the scrap of paper. I am a little bit less. I need to double check. I'm pretty sure that's red ink, yeah. Gathered from the room directly from the crime scene was missed or disregarded by previous stoops of the building. That dismissed as trash. I'm gonna try this first. What is that? More trash. Got it in one. Let's go. Yo, Big Wheezy 6. Thanks for the 3-stream watch streak. Let's go. That's exactly what it is. Trash, garbage. Some idiot knocked over a trash can on the second floor. It's a big building. This stuff happens. Still don't want to answer. That's okay. I will. You covered up the scrap paper because it implicates you as an accomplice. Didn't see that coming. But because it's nonsensical, Your Honor. Counselor, you just got done explaining how Han arrived after the pod was killed and left before Chopin died. Not an accomplice to murder. Just the mafia equivalent of leaking government secrets. Even though the papers were almost entirely illegible. It only took 4 characters for the P492 plan to blow up in court yesterday. Years of blue blood planning all down the drain because Creek was reading something he shouldn't have when he died. But if he shouldn't have had it in the first place, one has to wonder where he might have gotten it. All because of that one goddamn watermark. Identical to the one on your own business card. Zionist security? You leaked the red ink. Creek never asked nobody for nothing. Dumbass was a giver. Gave money, food, blood, more than any of us. Not that the weaker ones wouldn't have to get stuck. Guy like that came to a two-faced con hostess like me and asked for help. That writing is radioactive. Anyone caught with it? Why would he ask you for it? Old guard knew Creek was charismatic, brave, smart. Everything they feared in a young blood. But they also knew Creek made them too much money for them to just off. The old guard decided to wear them down instead. More jobs than any other crew, more responsibilities, less downtime, no sleep. Kept them too tired to have time to rebel, then wait for them to screw up. To make an example of them when they do. Managers would do the same when a host got too full of themselves. Started thinking they were the ones bringing in the money, that they were the ones who should keep it. Just put them on the grind. Grind them into dust. One old bastard had them trying to grab that Ikaria kid or whatever. At the same time, another expected them to do some kind of arms handoff to a big shot. At least that was the rumor. The point is, Creek knew they had a target on their back already. They wanted some kind of deterrent. They couldn't have dropped that red ink in Sandy mailbox in town like a tactical nuke if they had to. Maybe that's why they fired their missiles first. In the old guard killed Creek. I don't think that it was that pretty boy Hound nursing those broken bones. Did he have the Chopin guy though? I mean, I'd kill a stuck-up spoiled prick like that for no motive, so... I personally would not have said that. Did I answer your questions, counselor? Not the most burning one. When did this scrap of paper arrive on the second floor? Wasn't there when I ran out that window. It was dark and you were panicked. How could you have even noticed? Paper's white. You had seen it, would you have taken it? You kidding? Yeah, of course I would have taken it. Would have eaten the damn paper to make sure. Why didn't you simply eat the damn paper later when you did see it? If an R-scan building would set off any number of red flags. The first thing that would happen is they'd wind the clock back to see what it was. That's what I did. Look back to see how the hell I missed it, but the damn thing was in every pick the ARCs had right from the beginning. Knocking over trash to hide it was the best I could do. Low reward survival tactics, hide in numbers. The scrap wasn't on the second floor when you left, but it was on the ARCs from the start. That means Reyes' body cam saw it by the second floor windowsill, the one that's connected to the fire escape. Your Honor, I believe we're done with this witness, even though we've all managed to establish that. That someone went from the third floor to the second floor without taking the stairwell. Someone circled around. You got all that from one paper? Am I stupid? It's because those papers originate on the third floor. If that scrap was found by the windowsill, someone could have taken the fire escape. Exactly. Could have. Someone could have. But obviously they didn't because they would have run right into Dr. Sato. She has some evidence or DNA or whatever. Maybe an updated autopsy report, if you even care. Should we let her in? Your Honor, you're the one overseeing the trial, so I can cry if I want to. Open her up and kick the flirt out. Hey, Miss Morgan. That Akari and Dark didn't kill Creek's pod. No, he didn't. You gonna find out who did? Not your job, huh? Guess I deserve that. Finding Creek's killer is not technically my job either, Han. But if they're brought before me, I can promise I won't hold anything back. Appreciate the sentiment. I'm not gonna hold my breath. I won't tell any of the other young bloods to hold theirs. Updated autopsy report. Ba-ba-da-bum. Phew. Lots of news to break. I'll leave the introspection of the good and the bad to you two. That's cool. Just imply I'm the ugly. It's fine. Counselor Morgan's hypothesis stands. This knife matches Miller's entry wound. Well, how about that? It matches the wound better than the katana, considering what we discussed yesterday. Are you ready to say this is definitely the murder weapon used to stab Miller? But I've had no more luck with DNA testing than Sarah did. We weren't able to get anything. Nothing to the range of admissibility. However, like Sarah, I was able to perform blood type analysis on the blade. Well, I've also found A, B, and B- samples on it. I found one more blood type as well, A+. 3 people cut with one knife? This can't be hygienic. As long as you don't stick it in your mouth, you should be fine. A+ blood. Who was there that night who had A+ blood? Open! The findings bring a rather alarming fact to light. Dr. Sato believes that Miller was most likely stabbed by this knife and not the katana. That means that this knife was also the source of Miller's blood on the Sosuke's bindings. Either my client killed 4 men while cycling between a gun, a sword, a bat, and now a knife with his wrists tied together. All before ever stopping to cut his bindings. Or he was still in captivity when the Blue Bloods were killed. Boy, that almost sounds like an alibi for 4 of the 5 murders. That is not an alibi, Your Honor. Merely an increasingly strong shadow of a doubt. The jury can decide that for themselves. The facts surrounding Tarek Chopin's death still stands. Sosuke Akari was the only living individual in the room Chopin was killed in. Sosuke Akari is the only person with his fingerprints on the katana. Something he corroborated with his very own testimony just a short while ago. And the defense theorized fleeing suspect has already been revealed as incapable of committing any of these crimes. Yes. But unfortunately for the people's case against my client, there's evidence that completely overturns our understanding of how Chopin died. Hey, Those are criminals used on Miller. Very likely used to Miller, yes, but definitely used to kill Chopin. Can you crank that shit up? What? What are you going on about? Blood typing. Chopin is the only victim with A+ blood. Even my client, Sosuke, has AB- blood. Yet Dr. Sato just told us that A+ blood was found on this knife. That blood could come from nowhere but the single fatal wound identified on his autopsy. Chopin's blood was all over that scene. The knife could have fallen into it at any point. Check. Not at any point, no. This knife was removed from the crime scene and never seen by the ARCs. That means it had been moved into the alley before Detective Reyes arrived on the 3rd floor. But Chopin was impaled by the sword. We've all seen it. Yes, but not fatally. How could that stab wound not be fatal? Hello, Tomato. Because it was post-mortem. You're basing this on the blood? Usually closely follows a stabbing, yeah. It's the amount of blood, Your Honor. An impalement doesn't leave much blood at the scene because the weapon acts as a stopper. I assume the amount of blood at the scene was the result of the sword being jostled afterwards because the wound had been aggravated. This knife turns that idea on its head. Yes, Chopin was stabbed in the heart from behind, but it was most likely with this knife. He collapsed on the floor dead. Then the knife was removed and his corpse was impaled with the sword in the same wound, leaving a mark on the floor. The sword was only then moved around, increasing the wound size and masking the initial knife's entry wound, literally soaking the floor in blood. It's a possibility. If I may, Your Honor. This may just be a possibility, but it's the possibility that makes the most sense to me. It explains the irregularities with the victim's substantial blood loss, the pattern of the wound, and the indentation on the floor. It might make medical sense, Dr. Sato. The sequence of action you describe are not those of a rational human. But wanting to frame Sosuke for the murder seems pretty reasonable. Stabbing the corpse with his katana would be the best way to do it. You need the katana to frame Sosuke, or they didn't need the katana to frame Sosuke. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say they did. Make a strong argument, Dr. Sato. In order to frame my client for Dr. Chopin's death, they had to put his fingerprints on the murder weapon, the knife. They wouldn't have needed to stab the corpse with Sosuke's katana. They would just put the knife in his hands. Oh. Swapping out the murder weapon and disposing of the knife is 2 to 4 times as much work. That many more chances to make a mistake. It's nonsensical. With the katana didn't help them frame Sosuke. So what did it actually achieve? Made a big mess some poor schmuck would have to clean up. Yes, that's... Chopin's blood nearly destroyed all the red ink dots on the scene. But who says that's a coincidence? What if Chopin was stabbed twice, just so that his blood would cover up the red ink dots? That is insane. Makes sense to me. No, not your logic for the stabbing. The idea that that Tarek Chopin was part of some kind of conspiracy to defraud the city. Agreed, that is insane. I believe just the opposite. You what? Tarek Chopin was an unpopular, straight-laced political aspirant working as a cop only to improve his electability. His personality, his family, his goals, he'd have every reason to blow the whistle on Prop 492 and just get the whole project canceled. Even the lower wards in an undeveloped lurk. A lot of people would hate to see that happen. A lot of blue bloods. But the son of 2 city councilmen wouldn't care. Kari, like my client, would be actively rooting for it. You think Chopin was murdered just to cover up the fact that Prop 492 had been corrupted? Just all that money left on the table? All the future money coming down the line? That's a much better motive then. What was it you proposed exactly? That my client saw a police officer and would rather stab him than have to explain why he killed his captors? Something along those lines. So, like, what's going on now? Did Sosuke do it or not? I'll be cleared up in very short order, Your Honor, with the help of our final witness. So, Yoru wasn't even used to frame me. It was used to draw more blood from the wound to soak the papers. Very cold decision to make in the heat of the moment. Filing a corpse just to protect investments. Colder than stabbing someone in the back. In some ways. Didn't think that was up for debate. Thank you for joining us once again, Officer Rogers. No problem. Where is everybody, though? Well, after the shooting yesterday, I'd rather not risk the integrity of celerity of this trial by rescreening every member of the gallery when I've already cleared the room once. Celerity. Speed! Trial's gotta go fast, baby! It takes everyone a while to find their spots in the stands again. We were almost caught in the lines of fire not 24 hours ago, Dr. Rogers, yourself included. Surely you don't find the lack of an audience to be intimidating. Nah, I guess not. Where'd we leave off with this guy anyway? I believe that lawyer over there just had accused my late partner of being on the take for the Blue Bloods. I was merely exploring a possibility raised by the witness's sworn statement, Your Honor, that he never heard any gunshots in the area himself. And I stand by that. Good. Does defense have questions for this witness, Your Honor, or should we all have to continue to glare at one another for the rest of the day? Tempting, but I guess we'd better not. Your Honor, we ask that the witness testify once more about how he and his partner arrived at the scene. Yeah, no problem. I'll read it as many times as you like. I'm going to have to call you on that. And my partner heard gunshots. Headed for the nearest known customer side of the door was locked. I checked the alley, but didn't see another way in. Then there was a slam. My partner bolted to the third floor. About a minute later, I heard a thud from upstairs and came running to find my... Okay, first of all, this testimony actually is contradicted later. Just savoring the moment, I suppose. There's only one thing to do at this point, and once I hit the trigger on it, things will really take off. Yeah. Beep, beep. Quit that already. As I mentioned, I feel many times by now. That is a very unpleasant tone, don't I? Sorry, Butterfingers. Has anyone told you it's in poor taste to use the same trick twice? Been a lot more than twice now. And besides, it's only an issue when it's used twice on the same audience. Speaking of which... Hello, Chopin. You gonna answer that, Officer Rogers? Yeah? Just to fill you in, officer. What I accidentally pressed just now is a whistle found at the scene of the crime. Weird coincidence that my little slip-up coincided with your phone vibrating. Can you read us the notification we received just now? Or should the court computer simply force open all your devices and splatter your data across the walls? Officer Rogers, you have a so-called receiver application installed on that device, do you not? Yes, I do. Is that in line with the department's guideline on use of third-party software on state-provided devices? It's not breaking any regulations. Doesn't need to earn you any demerits to make you look guilty of sin. You and your partner, that is. The Chopin also have the app installed. We can go check. Having that app on your phone makes you guilty of something. You have to arrest half the cops patrolling the lower wards. What do you mean? It's common knowledge that orcas used unconventional tactics to talk to one another. Flags on buildings, clothes left on lines, smoke signals, probably even messenger pigeons. Where? Don't jump scare me like that. When you've got to figure this statuesque, every pigeon is a disaster waiting to happen. Anyway, whistles like that aren't uncommon. So it is common for members of the police department to try to listen in on the chatter of groups like the Blue Blood Mafia. Lower wards aren't a place a cop walks into without every weapon they can carry. That goes double for information. There's nothing suspicious about his phone reacting to that horrible racket. Don't I? Have I had to put up with that noise for nothing? Not for nothing. The witness is correct, Your Honor. There's nothing suspicious about having a receiver installed on any of your devices, even if you aren't a cop. What's incriminating is the fact that Officer Rogers' device responded to the specific frequency of this whistle. Sorry, officer. A little blue birdie already told the court that you need to input a frequency in order to get alerts for it. Yeah, I know that. So does the whole force, in fact. What? I see. The hell is she reading over there? Officer Rogers, testify about this anonymous tip that the police department received last night. Oh, 4. I haven't seen this submission myself, but it came through the department network straight to everyone's inboxes. Be advised, anonymous tip suggesting potential orca analog chatter at the frequency listed below. Patrol officers in lower wards use this information at your discretion. That's absurd. What's the point of informing every cop in this city about a secret communications channel? The Blue Bloods would find out their line is compromised within minutes. Would they? I don't know. I don't control how anonymous tips get handled. But as soon as you got an email telling you there might be criminal communications occurring at a random frequency, you tuned into it right away? Believe it or not, I'm a little concerned about criminal communications these days, having seen my partner murdered by an orca right in front of me. Barely 24 hours before nearly getting shot myself. Back up. You saw the moment of your partner's death? That's news to the court. You know what I mean. Your Honor, the tip was submitted and the frequency was spread throughout the police department network. Likely because the Blue Bloods believed it to be compromised, having already been used at the scene where 4 of their members died. May have had the receiver on his phone, but so do many other police officers in the city. The app doesn't provide timestamps of when the frequencies are added. There's no proof of when his phone first started listening for the frequency. Neither he nor his partner were members of the organized crimes unit. Therefore, they had no criminal informants on their own. They could not have obtained this frequency before the rest of the department. Since the defense cannot prove that this signal was acquired illegitimately, never said I couldn't prove that. Are we going to go with the... What had the transaction on it? Was the gun? I believe so, right? Registered to Anton. Yep. Routine civilization frisk by officers TC and HR report follows. Yep. Hello. I'm pretty confident in this one, so max me out. The gun, what of it? Not just any gun, a mag us. Illegally registered to Anchor Tan. And how do I know that? Because this gun was identified and scanned over a week ago when Tanks was briefly detained by some well-meaning officers on parole. That report. Officers TC and HR reported the following. Subject in possession of firearm in violation of parole. And subject in possession of suspect communication software installed on personal phone. He wrote all of that in the report. You and your partner found the emergency frequency for Creekspot over a week ago by skimming Tank's phone and sat on it until last night when you kindly dropped it off in the tip box. The hell are you even saying? Why would we frisk a perp, get good intel, and keep it to ourselves? The same reason your partner might report a generic shots heard over the police network when he already knew exactly where to look. Same reason he'd be ecstatic at finding documents on Prop 492 at the site of an orca bloodbath. You wanted your gold stars. You wanted to be the first at the scene of the site of a blue blood massacre. Counsel is badgering, Your Honor, and losing her meager thread of logic in the process. The previous witness testified that there was, in fact, a silent alarm that night that needs to be actively pressed. It can only have gone out before Creek's heart stopped. Said witness responded to the alarm by traveling on foot, and he arrived well before Rogers and Chopin. The little words are maze-like. She could have been closer. That whistle has a limited range over which it can be received. He proposed that Officer Rogers and Chopin were within that limited range at 9:45 p.m., yes? Obviously you do, or else they would never have received the frequency at all. The person H is on foot, an individual R is in a police car. They both receive a signal at the same time. A train leaves Appleton at 3 p.m. Yes. That seems like an irrelevant factor. All the court needs to consider is this. How could Officer Rogers and Chopin have possibly arrived later than someone traveling on foot if all three were in that range? Can't believe I told my geometry teacher that none of this would ever be useful. This isn't geometry, damn it, it's just logic. The fact that they did arrive later than Han. If I'm right about the motivation of Chopin's action that night. He was sitting in his police car and suddenly got a notification telling him some blue bloods were having a life or death emergency. How would he react in that moment? Available to address your contradiction, Your Honor. Evidence explaining exactly how Chopin proceeded to the crime scene. This music track does bop. Could have sworn we did. Pull up Rogers. What is she asking for? Yeah. Of course I have the evidence that explains this contradiction. I just have to go get it. -5? I don't think so. I think Rogers is right there. Flawless, really. -10. I may not have the evidence on hand, Your Honor, but sometimes living in a surveillance police state has its perks, pardon? Like when you wanted to surveil, when you want to surveil police officers. Police officers' patrol car, their cell phones, traffic cameras, and optics data. I could request any of it, hell. Your Honor, I firmly subpoena all of it. What? What? Can she do that? I'm not sure. I'm still learning. Ray's drunken swipe at my front door reminded me exactly how much power the police have. But it was her dutiful checking in that made me realize just how hard it is to lose a cop in this city. Whatever it takes to answer this question for the court. After Officer Chopin reported that he heard shots fired at 9:45 p.m., exactly how long did he and his partner do donuts in the parking lot before actually driving off to the scene? Kind of a big ask from the defense, but it is entirely doable. Do the people object? People, of course, object to any data collection effort that would be a waste of taxpayer money or violation of their privacy. So we prefer that the range of this request be narrowed somewhat. From everything to something. Happy to do that, Your Honor. I promise not to act like a child in a candy shop when browsing, though. If you do this, you subpoena that data, you'll just see me driving like a lethargic moron. Officer Rogers, he seems different. Hardly recognize him. Agreed, but I recognize his type. Soldier. Your Honor, what the defense's suggestion is largely accurate. Pardon? That's a first. Though there are some corrections I feel I should make at this time. No objections here. Officer Chopin is the one who discovered the frequency when we apprehended Ackerton. He entered it into both our receiver apps at that time without my knowledge. It wasn't until the night in question that he chose to inform me of the intel he had obtained. Now he planned on acting on it. At 9:45 p.m. we received a signal. Before I could react, he pulled out a notice on the police network that he had heard gunshots. It was at this time that he told me to drive towards Blue Blood territory. He started to explain to me what he believed we would find. I chose to take a suboptimal route. We spent several minutes in traffic as he berated me for my sense of direction. So you both knew this silent alarm would lead you to some kind of blue blood emergency, but only you realized that meant you should take your time getting there. Logically, a silent alarm is triggered during a confrontation, not afterwards. I had no desire to walk into the crossfire of an Orca gunfight without backup. Could have had backup, easily. My partner had no desire to share intel, or how we obtained it. Obtained it? Apologies to the court, Your Honor, for being evasive or misleading during these proceedings. And I intend to take full responsibility for doing so. But I was not eager to admit the role my own cowardice played in these events. Nor would I ever want to imply that Officer Chopin was responsible in any way for his own murder. Very warm sentiment from the officer, delivered with a voice as cozy as ice water. You're telling the court that you and your partner arrived at what you expected to be a bloodbath, and you still shot the lock off a door and started stomping around inside while separated from one another? Especially, man, with the route I took and the time it took for us to arrive, we expected to find all targets neutralized. And that expectation was reinforced when we arrived on the street and found the whole vicinity dead quiet. Yet we were still the first on the scene despite my stalling for time. I think that might have enthused my partner. He was excited and I let him set the pace. It was my deepest regret that I agreed with his request to split up. First arrive on the scene. We know that wasn't the case. A blue blood got there well before you and your partner. That's what you were talking about. Moses wasn't present for that individual's testimony. He's merely giving the facts as he knows them. He can't have known that there was a blue blood in the building. On the contrary, you already testified about encountering them yesterday, as they made a not-so-silent retreat down into the alleyway. That was a blue blood making all that racket. I see. My partner Chopin. He shouted that there was someone scrambling down in the alley not long before he was killed. I also opened the window on the 3rd floor to check. That's a new detail, Officer Rogers. Pardon me if I failed to mention it yesterday. It occurs to me that you weren't present in the courtroom when this other curious detail was brought to light. Not that there was another weapon at the scene of the crime. A bloody knife, but somehow ended up down in the dumps. Know anything about that? No, ma'am, I do not. Playing dumb, wrong move. I do know Cyanus is a bunch of amateurs with conflicted priorities. Explain this to the court then. Forensic analysis has already shown that this knife was a murder weapon used to stab Miller, getting a healthy amount of his blood on it in the process. It has also been established this knife must have been what my client used to cut his own bindings. If you say so. The evidence says so. The defense isn't interested in asking the witness questions. Perhaps they'll answer mine. What does that have to do with Officer Rogers? Everything, of course. Allow me to show you why. What? Why does this have to do with Rogers? Five seconds to the scene, saw unlocked 1st floor vault, found Rogers arresting Sosuke. Ah, of course. No proof that Sosuke had to use that knife to cut his bonds, and Detective London has testified that Officer Rogers is friends with Sosuke alone. So why can't the officer apprehended the man last known to be using this knife tell us how he had ended up in the alley? That is a question well worth asking the witness. I have no idea what you're talking about. When I found your client, he had the mag-us and he had the sword. The sword he had stuck through my partner. This knife you're talking about, where'd you find it? In the trash. Drum. Down in the alley. Well then, some crime scene tech idiot must have thrown it out without thinking it was bio waste. Or some scientist lackey tossed it as a prank. I wouldn't know. Because I spent hours being debriefed in that room on the 3rd floor while they set up the arcs. I spent all night in a room with my partner's corpse. Never took a trip to the empty the recycling bin. We know the knife was with Sosuke at one point, and we know it ended up down in the alley later. There stands to reason that someone had to walk it downstairs and out of the building. Rogers never left that room all night, then someone must have moved it. I mean, I got chips to spare. 0 points for you. 0 points again? All that processing power and you still can't manage to think in 3D? Doesn't matter if Officer Rogers stayed in that room all night, Your Honor. All anyone needed to do to dispose of the knife was step onto the fire escape and drop the knife down into the barrel waiting below. No need to leave the 3rd floor. No need to leave the crime scene at all, Officer Rogers. What kind of trick shot bullshit are you talking about? That is a long drop, Your Honor. A straight drop. Gravity's convenient that way. The target was a small drum in a dark alley. If that drum was burning when the police arrived, the target would have been plainly lit and... I've taken both of your arguments into consideration. With much deliberation, I've come to the conclusion that the proposed method of removing the knife from the 3rd floor is not actually that hard to do, assuming a modicum of hand-eye coordination and a basic understanding of Newtonian physics. Well, obviously, couldn't anyone manage that? Practice martial artists who are masters of every muscle in their body, individuals like yourself and me, might find it hard to relate, but there are some who would struggle with the task. Wait, is that Speak of the Devil? Wait, is that why this game is called that? I think it's... maybe. I can't say. It's that or Luck of the Devil. Yeah, that's my guess. Yourself and I. Wait. Hand-eye coordination. Now, let me put, Your Honor. You must agree that someone with hand-eye coordination is so bad they hold the record for worst marksmanship in the entire police department. Someone with such poor aim that they opted to physically assault a target rather than shoot them. Someone like that might find it impossible to pull it off. Are you talking about me? He's talking about me, Your Honor. While I find her tone unflattering, none of what she said is false. Apologies, that dropping the knife from the fire escape didn't occur to me as a possibility. It just must be that, for me personally, such a method of compromising a crime scene is not only unthinkable, it's impossible. All the stupid details that come back and bite me in the ass. The piss poor aim that London mentioned, that Officer Rogers faked his poor aim at the academy, it's easy to not hit your target. But why would he intentionally flunk a shooting test years ago to give himself such a strange alibi here today? He didn't flunk his test. He got the lowest score you could possibly get while still being certified. Good lord, you'd have to be trying to. His goal was to receive the exact minimum number of points he needed to pass. His margin of error would actually be much smaller than anyone simply doing their best. But then what about when he first saw me? It's true that any other cop who saw me standing over their dead partner would have just unloaded. Then he ran up and hit me. He's not actually that bad of a shot. Why am I still alive? That's the story Rogers has been telling so far, that he instinctually didn't bother to fire. His gun wasn't discharged and Sosuke got the bruises, so we accepted that line of reasoning. If I assume he's more dangerous than he's led us to believe, why wouldn't he have just shot Sosuke when he had the chance? He could have told his fellow officers whatever story he liked afterwards, and we wouldn't even be having this trial. I feared for my life. That's all he needed to say. Under what circumstances would it have been impossible for him to claim that? Your Honor. And he shall appear. Ah, fuck! I'd even put 2 to 2 together like that. It's so good. It's all skill and no luck. True. I'm reminded just now that my client and the witness were in a physical altercation. I apprehended a murder suspect, yes. Surely you're suggesting I use unreasonable force. If anything, you use unreasonably little. Not at all, but I imagine things happened fairly fast. Isn't it possible that a knife on Sosuke's person may have been knocked away into a corner during that moment? What are you? It may have. Can't say that I would have necessarily noticed something clattering on the floor while I was trying to cuff a violent perp. Perhaps, Your Honor, the witness ought to testify about everything he recalls from the moment he confronted my client. Jogging his memory might be the only way we can address these gaps in our knowledge. No objection. Let us hear it. Good versus evil, man versus machine, cop versus robber. I'm not a machine or a robber. And don't worry, Sosuke. If need be, Adon and I would go through a whole trial just to prove you're a machine. True! What kind of joke is that? An accurate one. Out into the second floor window. Sure. But then I heard a sickening thump from above, on the third floor where I knew my partner was. Flexibly, I drew my service weapon and rushed up the stairs where I saw the defendant standing over my partner's dead body. I was shocked, but he was clearly injured and the sword was stuck. Before I knew it, I was running at him. He turned to me with a dull shock. He turned to me with dull shock as I whipped my pistol into his forehead. He collapsed after that, and the room was a mess. My blood was pumping. If he had dropped a knife at that time, I wouldn't have noticed it. But his change in posture, he's still telling the same story. Sure is. I need to double check a few things, don't I? We have the... Oh, that's all fine. He was fucked up. There's no doubt about that. Blood from various sources across the interior front of the body. Bones in the left hand as if impacting. Bruising, numerous bruises on the interior side, others bloods. Back of the head, get owned. Nope. Sounds very brave, Officer Rogers. That's physically impossible. How could you have knocked my client out with one strike to the forehead when it was the back of the head that was injured? What are you talking about? Yesterday, he had bruises across his entire body. Exaggeration that doesn't hold up to the scrutiny of his actual medical records. Largest wound found on the crown of his head. Crown of head. The crown as in the top of the back of the head. The butt of a pistol leaves a surprisingly specific impression on the human body. Officer Rogers. I assume Dr. Sato is still in the building. Perhaps we should call her back and have her examine my client on the stand. Sosuke, you'll have to remove your shirt. You get my head checked? That'd be a waste of time, Your Honor. Counselor Morgan has taken advantage of some rather vague wording in the medical record to make her argument. Largest wound. The fact is, the defendant was covered in various bruises all over the body when he was taken to custody, including on the front of his skull. He's not wrong, I still remember every ache. It's entirely possible that when Officer Rogers struck the defendant on the forehead, the blow was glancing. But still hard enough to knock the defendant backwards. And had he fallen backwards hard, he very easily have sustained a large wound to the crown of his head, the moment he hit the ground. Respectfully, Your Honor, that's ultimately not something either the people nor the defendants are experts on. But even if we were, neither of us could examine wounds that are no longer visible. Never courtroom things. Yeah, they're real good. Sosuke's injuries, they're mostly healed as of this morning. Hope that injection helped you sleep really well last night, Sosuke. Your Honor, as I see it, either we could extend this trial indefinitely, with both the people in the defense flying an X-ray specialist and contusion analysis to argue back and forth about fracture lines, or we can set that events more or less took place as the witness described. Hit the defendant on the head, and then the defendant fell backwards onto the floor. The head wound's open to interpretation then. Could support Roger's story? No, fuck you. I got chips to spare, lady! Hell no. You're really gonna tell me that getting pistol whipped to the back of the head is gonna be, you can just glance that? Fuck you. Forget expert witnesses. Let's all just look at the medical data with our own two peepers. Peepers. Roger claims that Sosuke was hit on the forehead, fell backwards with what he would have fallen onto. In that room, probably blood and guts. Yuck. You're exactly right. All kinds of firsts happening in the courtroom today. Would have gotten blood all across his back. That's not how he looked when he was arrested. Medical report clearly states that he had blood on the front of his body, telling us that Sosuke could only have fallen forward. And what of it? Maybe he did. Maybe he turned his head weird while trying to dodge. Things happen fast. Don't try to bullshit a bullshitter. That's enough that you may have, in fact, actually struck my client from behind? Yeah, maybe. Took him by surprise when he was no threat to you? What? No. Easy target to knock out at that point. Makes sense why you wouldn't use lethal force in that scenario. No, he was... The guy's got nearly a full head on me. True. I don't deny it. Which makes it highly unlikely the witness could have simply hit him on the crown. Things happened as you said, and he had the element of surprise. He would have simply aimed for the easiest target possible, the one easiest to reach, the center or bottom of the skull. Not quite. Excuse me. Never said my client was standing up when this happened. Huh? You mean he was asleep? No. Consider that he was struck on the crown of his head. It's obvious that at the time Sosuke was bent over. When bent over. He was bent over when the witness came from behind, and Odonai. What? Why are you turning to me now? Because I thought you would want to know that you were about to phrase things in a way that would sound very silly. What are you talking about? Sarah's right, Morgan. You should let her take this one. What? So Sosuke bent over to pick up Yoru. That's when Officer Rogers struck Sosuke on his crown. As I've said, the one thing I do remember as walking out of there was picking up my sword. Picking it up off the ground. Having your android argue the weaker points for you now, counselor? Not exactly the bravest tactic. Tactics are for freshening your breath. Frick you, Morgan. What can you claim is weak about the argument? Positioning. Your client really had walked out of that holding room and was then immediately hit from behind. Where could his assailant have possibly been standing? Sosuke had to get out of his bindings first and then push open the door. He wouldn't have been concerned with keeping quiet as he went. There would have been plenty of time for someone to hear him rummaging around in there and figure out where they could hide. In this corner of the room, here. That doesn't work. If that was the case, your client would have fallen face first here. That said, he was apprehended here in the center of the room. Hey, makes sense to me. Look, looks like he dropped like a sack of potatoes by the door, sure. Then he was dragged to the center of the room. Looks like the streets of Bloods we can see where we can see were discovered on the floor. Those weren't left behind by him gliding his feet in order to move silently? I was hoping to learn that technique. Your Honor, I fear the defense may not realize the weight of the implication of her statement carries. If, as she claims, Sosuke Ikari was knocked unconscious by Officer Rogers the moment he walked into the room, then my client never had any opportunities to stab Tarek Chopin in the back. The only remaining individual who could possibly have killed him would be me. Yes, any thoughts on that, officer? There's one thought that has been frustrating me for some time, actually. One I expect the prosecutor to voice, but perhaps I misjudged her. You what? None of what you're saying makes any sense. You say I hid in the corner to surprise Sosuke, and then what? Snuck up on Chopin. How could I do any of that if I was downstairs at the time Chopin was attacked? The time Sosuke killed him. It's not that the thought hadn't occurred to Emma, you idiot. That once I address this point, your entire testimony falls apart. The truth of the case becomes crystal clear. No misunderstanding on my part, and I suspect none on the part of the people either. The truth is, when you and your partner arrived, you must have immediately KO'd Chopin. Fallen Behind is the story that's currently there. Immediately KOing Chopin would mess with that, but you were the one who took point, not your partner. Excuse me? Chopin shot out the lock, sure, I believe that. He was the one all gung-ho about coming there anyway. After entering, you went ahead of him while he covered you. What? Ray told us that you wanted to stall, wait for backup. Chopin charged forward, you couldn't slow him down. But if you went first, you could go as slowly as you liked, and Chopin would be forced to match your pace. Immediately would have been really funny, true. You were the one who cleared the room and shouted down that everyone was dead. I told you, I testified. So did your blue blood tail. Testified all about how you and your partner separated on the second floor. Objection, mischaracterization of testimony. The witness the defense is referring to did encounter two officers, but the witness never identified either of them. The blue blood didn't need to. All they were waiting to hear was whether any blue bloods were alive. So after Roger shouted down to Chopin that everyone was dead, they bolted out the second floor window. When Chopin shouted someone was in the alley, Officer Rogers opened the window behind Creek's body to try and spot the runner. When he ran down the fire escape to try and follow them, only to give up when he saw that there was no ladder to go down with. It's very possible that Chopin yelled that someone was in the alley from the third floor. The scene of the crime is soundproof, remember? No one in that room would notice a commotion in the alley unless they'd already opened the windows to check it. So, since Chopin yelled about it, he had to have been the officer who stayed on the second floor. This blue blood rat of yours just misheard, or they're lying. There's no proof for any of this. Yes, there is, officer. What? Yelled that someone was in the alley from the third floor. The scene of the crime is soundproof. Remember, no one in that room would notice a commotion in the alley unless they already opened the windows to check it. Since Chopin yelled about it, it would have been the officer who stayed on the second floor. Probably just this then? No. What it? I understand what it's asking. He must have been the officer. Had to have been the officer who stayed on the second floor. Well, it's definitely not like this. It's the knife or the papers. And if I had to take a guess, it's the paper. Found on the second floor windowsill, but it's not any scrap picture. It matches the reading documents I found on the pod die. It happens to have a partial blood stain boot print on it. Proving that someone stomped from the crime scene down the fire escape and into the second floor. But that doesn't prove anything. Your own client could have left that blueprint. My client was arrested barefoot, remember? You should. You did the arresting. Then maybe Chopin. If Chopin was the one who brought the scrap down from the third floor, that would put him behind you. I mean, you couldn't have walked in on him being attacked by Sosuke. Counselor. Even if we accept that Rogers was on the third floor and then moved down to the second, the sequence you're describing ends with both officers reunited on the second floor, with neither of them dead. But obviously, Chopin did proceed to the third floor because that's where he was killed. So now we're back where we started. Back where we started, you're forgetting one key detail in this new sequence of events. At the time the officers reunited on the second floor, my client was already unconscious. I mean, the only person who had a chance to kill Officer Chopin was, in fact, none of this shit matters. This lawyer is trying to accuse me of killing my partner. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Why would I do something like that? Depends. What? Depends where you live. Not uptown, I suppose? What's it to you? Single bedroom? Yeah, whatever. Not great. Excuse me? Having to ride around all day with some insufferable, spoiled, rich stick in the mud? Knowing the whole time that you, your job, your whole goddamn police department, it was all just a bullet point on his resume. Counselor is badgering the witness in lieu of making an actual argument. That's true. Can't deny that. Apologies, Your Honor. I'll state the motive plainly. Prop 492 was corrupt. Blue Bloods and worse would profit off it at the city's expense. But it would also bring economic relief and badly needed repairs to the lower wards. Might also stop the canopy from, just falling down and crushing everyone who lives there. But a climber like Chopin wouldn't care about any of that. Every photo I've seen of this guy, he's had a big, stern frown. But I'll bet he was grinning ear to ear when he found that red ink. Must have made you sick to your stomach. So you killed him, and then you bled him like a pig to try and destroy the documents he'd have plastered all over town. You're crazy. That's not possible. Do the people have anything to add? Emma hates losing, but she's not stupid. She must be getting sick of having to cover for this. Officer Rogers, you were the one who entered the third floor first, weren't you? What is she doing? Yes. How long were you there before your partner alerted you to someone escaping through the alley? More than 2 minutes? Less than 3? You had a chance to start looking the room over? Yes. Did you see anything as politically explosive as what the defense has described? No, nothing of the sort. Your Honor, the witness is blatantly lying. We know the documents were there, and we know Chopin found them because they were found underneath his corpse. It is the defense's theory that he was killed because of those documents. Because he would have tried to make them public, essentially? Yes. That's the defense's proposed motive for this man to kill his partner? Yes. I see. But why would he have prepared to kill his partner for reading documents left out on a desk? When he had over 2 minutes to simply get rid of them beforehand. Oh! A damn good question, Your Honor. Do you have an answer for it? I'm getting there. I'll get there. I'm close. His layers are falling off. This is a cold guy, cold enough to walk into that room, knock out Sosuke, and start calmly looking around. So, is he lying? Did he actually see those papers? No, Emma's right. The papers were in plain view. He would just have tucked them into his jacket. The papers were in plain view. Were they? Ugh, I don't remember. Where the hell did I put them, if not on the desk? I remember taking them out of Creek's safe and remembering there were nothing important, so I just... Okay. That's probably how one page got left where it could stick to the bottom of Roger's boot. Before I left, I reorganized things, tried to make it seem like I was never there, so I I stack things neatly. Any cuckoos in there around the nest? Pardon me, Your Honor. I was simply overthinking, to be honest. Sir Rogers didn't dispose of the red ink when he had the chance because he didn't notice the red ink. It's that simple. A simple answer to a simple question that simply doesn't measure up. If Officer Rogers didn't notice the red ink docs in the 2 minutes he had with the scene, how did his partner discover them so quickly? Neither of them were looking for illicit government documents at the site of a gang shooting. Neither of them would have to start disturbing a crime scene when there were bodies and blood all over them. Correct. Rationally, neither officer would want to start making a mess of the scene. Something must have simply caught Officer Chopin's eye. Very bad luck on his part, as it turns out. You've got to be. What the hell are you talking about? What could it have been? Sounds like a tough question to answer, but there aren't as many possibilities to sift through as you think, Your Honor. Because it would have to have been something that caught Officer Chopin's eye, yet not that of his partner. Something at the scene that Officer Rogers wouldn't recognize. Your Honor, this is pointless. The officer knew this was the site of orca violence from the silent alarm, and there was blood and corpses all over the damn place. And if the red ink docs were not in plain sight amidst all that carnage, what could possibly have drawn Officer Chopin's attention to them? If I need to retrace Chopin's steps specifically, was there anything in the evidence record that he left a trace on? I think you'll give me some options. Go play music at the loudest crime scene text and started getting in the environment. So that wasn't turned off. Yoru. Just his. What else do I got? Dark card. And the knife. Forensics show that all fingerprints have been wiped off at some point. Next one is tough. Fair. I'm gonna go with this. Part of the first occurrence, you must have seen current data on some papers. You think the red ink documents were beneath the data pad at the time. That might explain why Rogers didn't notice them, but that's only half an answer. Now is this, if it wasn't the data pad that drew his attention, Your Honor, it was the dark card that was stuck inside of it. Literally, I was like, bro was rich. Bro was rich, he'd know. The dark card seems like a little more than a fancy credit card to you or I. But if you're rich enough, it's an unmistakable sign of powerful forces at play. Exactly the kind of thing that would put a gleam in the eyes of the politically ambitious Dr. Chopin. Right up until the moment he saw the bombshell hidden underneath the data pad. Your Honor, this speculation. Chopin's prints were discovered on the data pad, Your Honor. We know he must have picked it up. And that data pad was found by police on the desk, so we know he must have put it down. I'm merely proposing that he didn't put it down in the exact same spot. Just because the dark card happened. Hey, seriously. What the hell have you two been talking about? What the shit is a dark card? Cryptographically anonymous wallet card that rich people use to buy illegal drugs and gifts for their mistresses. Not common knowledge unless you ran in circles as high up as the city council. Oh. Yeah, you're right. I didn't know that. Never heard of that. Assumed you were being literal. It is a dark card. Yeah, to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me. Chopin going around picking up whatever he wanted at a scene of a crime without even radioing in first. Sounds about right. Bare hands, mouth breathing. Guy was big on following the rules. Just wasn't that good at remembering any of them. Not me, though. I remembered every rule. Followed them, too. Partner breaks a body cam. I request a new one. Let him use mine. Stop him from getting sued by the next punk he bumps into. It's a real risk for him. He had money. People would sue if they could. No one would try to sue Huey Rogers. Only thing the judge could award them would be my own goddamn debts. I don't think I'm bad with money, just bad with debt. I never seem to get rid of this stuff. You know, I'm not so stupid that I would wear gloves at a goddamn crime scene. You mean, obviously, counselor. The moment we peeled up to that building until I was relieved from duty and sent home the next morning, I was wearing gloves. 3 stories in an alleyway, and I can swear on my parents' graves I didn't contaminate 1 millimeter of it. Didn't put my greasy fingerprints on the windows, the doors, the murder weapon. You never know I was ever there. So you can say I did this or claim I did that, but the city's only ever going to hear the same Ikarian bastard killed a bunch of blue blood punks. That Tarek Chopin died a hero trying to save the day. Right. Don't I? Is that true? Is that possible? After all this, is it possible that the jury, surely they can see, the jury will see that what the adjutant decides they need to see in order to properly render their verdict. If the adjutant comes to the conclusion that a witness or a line of questioning would only serve to confuse the jury. 80, Your Honor, the jury. Give me a second to think here, girl. Trying to build consensus and basically everyone's mad. So maybe the adjutant rules in our favor and maybe the jury sees things our way. There's no guarantees. After all that, it just comes down to a gamble. Always does. Yeah. But you still get a chance to sculpt your hand. I can do a lot better than this pile of shit. Just have to take my licks first. Your Honor, I disagree. About what exactly? About all of it. Absolutely everything. Look, we know someone moved from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor via the fire escape because of that scrap of paper, which would have put them in the perfect position to walk up behind Chopin. And we know Chopin picked up the data pad because his fingerprints are on it. So we can reason Chopin was investigating the deaths before he died. And of course, we know he died reading the red ink document because, duh, his body was found collapsed on top of them. Put all that together and nothing. You still have nothing. Nothing except circumstantial evidence tying this witness to a theoretical sequence of events. Emma, did you get hit in the head too? What? You have Officer Rogers' fingerprints on the murder weapon. What? You'll never go all in unless you make them think your hand is crap. Put on a show? His springs were on the pistol I used to bludgeon my client, of course. What are you? No, they aren't. As he said, he wasn't wearing gloves. Oh, so that gun was never fired. What are you talking about? Now that he mentioned it, yeah. Shoot, did I get my notes mixed up? That's right, the bat. You think we wouldn't notice you left your fingerprints on it just because dudes broke it into splinters? We're baiting them on purpose. The baseball bat used on Trey. Forensic failed to put a single print from that. Is this your idea of a joke? Geez, take it easy. I misspoke a little. Also, I don't have my reading glasses. What? The magus that was used to kill Tangson Creek. Pretty stupid to forget to wipe your prints off a piece that gaudy, don't you think? Counselor, what is this? Are you throwing a tantrum? Make a mockery of the courtroom. The only prints on that gun belong to Sosuke Ikaria. Oh. Sorry, I guess I was thinking of another case. So perhaps a gas leak on the other side of the courtroom. Well, don't I feel stupid? What I've been trying to say is that Officer Rogers failed to notice that he had left his fingerprints on the most important weapon of all, the very blade that took his partner's life. Enough of this embarrassment. What the hell's wrong with you? I knew a mob lord would be corrupt and vile, but how can you be such a stupid bimbo? You think we're all idiots? My fingerprints aren't on that goddamn knife, and you know it. My mistake. I can see here that, yes, I was misreading the fine details, and it does appear that your fingerprints are not on that knife. Sorry. You. Oh, dear. What? What? What is it? Oh, I guess we're all just wondering. How long have you known it was the knife that was used to kill your partner? What? Confused? So are these two. Because like you, neither of them were in the courtroom when Dr. Sato updated her autopsy. She got updated the autopsy report. Play the Edgeworth gif. So I knew that Chopin was killed with a knife. And the people knew that Chopin was killed with a knife. But how did you know that? There must have been 50 cops in here when that doctor... Far fewer than 50, actually. More like 0. We had already emptied the courtroom by then. A courtesy was extended to a blue blood witness. You, for some blue blood rat, you crazy harpy trying to trick me at the last second? You think I walked in here unprepared for this? No, of course not. She, right there, Rockford, the prosecutor. Before I took the stand, she told me all about the knife. Ah, so that's your plan. Right, Rockford, before I came out here, didn't you? It's always great to reveal a full house and rake in the pot. Even better to reveal a handful of shit you bluffed your way to victory with. Say something already, just say it. But every now and then, a different kind of victory comes along, where you just get to sit back and watch someone else self-destruct because they completely misread the dealer. Uh-oh. Oopsie. Say it. Say that you... Shut up. What? Just shut up. Is that so hard? Are my instructions unclear? Do you need me to salute you first? Stop talking. You are completely, utterly, 100% guilty. Why the hell would I perjure myself to help you? But, hey, start counting. Because from this second on, every word that comes out of your mouth adds directly to the number of years you're going to rot in jail. Unless those words are your confession. He's the Hound of Ikari. He murdered us for the mob. We could put him away. They don't want to put him away. Not for your crime, not for murdering the son of two city councilmen. Have you lost your goddamn mind? But he's a murderer. Well, not all murderers are created equally. Morgan, you literally cannot say that. Well, not all murderers are hunted equally. Nobility assassinating each other? Let it ride, keeps them divided. Orcas fighting in the lower wards? Let them sort it out. Keep their numbers down. Emma can say that. A monster shoots 6 women in the heart and leaves no evidence behind? Call us back when he kills someone important. Strange, once she's properly infuriated, there's usually no stopping her. Well, she's not going to twist the knife herself. I shouldn't let it go to waste. Your Honor, if the witness is having trouble choosing a place to start for his confession, perhaps I might help by laying out the details for him. You sadistic bitch. Yup. He was counting on Emma to step in. Now he's sliding down the rocky face of despair, fingernails split and bloody as he attempts in vain to show the descent. Slow to descent. Not very dignified, so I won't leave him hanging. I'll be happy to speed him along. In summary, a week ago you acquired a blue blood distress signal when you arrested Tanks, but your partner insisted on letting him go and keeping the code to yourself. So the night of the murder, when the alarm went out, he jumped at the chance to be the first unit on the scene of what could be a gang shootout. You did all you could to stall, but your partner pressed on and even shot open the door in his hurry to get into the locked building. You made him an excuse to keep him on the second floor and proceeded to the third and relieved that everyone was already dead. And puzzled by the delirious Sosuke, who you knocked out with one blow to the back of the head. But by calling down to your partner to convince him you were already too late, you alerted an orca hiding downstairs. When they fled out the window and down into the alley, you opened the window at the crime scene to give chase. While you were scanning the alley from the second floor fire escape, your partner proceeded upstairs, where he was just as stunned as you were. But intrigued by the presence of a dark card you never recognized, he knew that it pointed towards the involvement of powerful parties. It was simply bad luck that he found the red ink before you. But he must have felt like he won the lottery. He was the one man in the city who'd benefit the most from exposing the corruption it hidden at. He must have been salivating at the opportunity right in front of you, standing in the blood without a second thought. You had taken the knife from Sosuke. Hadn't even thought about it up until that point. You knew once the rest of the force arrived, there'd be no stopping the red ink from going on the record. You had one chance to blot it out for good. That's all. That's all a lie, just smoke and mirrors, tricks and guesswork. Hound of Ikari is sitting right there next to you. The Blue Bloods themselves even tried to kill him, right in front of all of us. No, they didn't. Excuse me? I have it on very good authority the Blue Bloods wouldn't want my client assassinated. Oh, I'm sure. So considering where the shooter was and the direction he was aiming, and the only person he could have been aiming at would be, well, you! But what the hell are you talking about? Seems like the old guard wanted to make sure there'd be a swift punishment for letting Prop 492 blow up. You can keep protesting your innocence if you want. It might work out. And you might be able to avoid the next blue blood to come after you, and the next after that, and the next after that. You might survive just long enough to end up the only casualty in a tragically unavoidable case of friendly fire. Your blues coming after you from above and below. Who gets there first is a coin toss, so tell me. You feeling lucky? Well, you. Any questions? You and this DA, your officer, you're all out of your damn minds! Fold. Owned. Get owned. Do you work for the Blue Bloods? Never thought of it that way. Even back when I was a kid, I thought they were just another institution. Like a neighborhood watch, people looking out for each other. Everyone's parents off working or enlisted or in jail for civil disobedience. Whole neighborhoods that cops, medics, goddamn firemen wouldn't set foot in. Didn't see it as transactional. Thought I was just lending a hand. My blood ain't worth shit. I wasn't useful enough to be a young blood, not good looking enough to be a host. But I kept going to school. They helped me pay for it. And because it was, in fact, transactional, they expected to get something in return. Police Academy, their man on the inside. Wasn't as exciting as it sounds. I made sure it wasn't. Test scores sucked. Aptitudes sucked. Clumsy and boring. Made sure no one wanted to give me anything important to do. Valuable enough that the Blue Bloods wouldn't quit out me. Not valuable enough that the cops would give me anything worth passing on. The world's worst double agent. So bad at his job, he'd never be expected to double-cross anyone. Imagine the look on my face and my reputation for nothingness got me paired with the world's worst babysitting job on the force. Eric Chopin. We were perfectly matched in a way. I didn't want to be near nothing, and nobody wanted to let him near anything. Nothing dangerous enough to get him hurt, nothing real enough that he'd go blabbing to his dads. He went around to schools. Those are the jobs you'd get. Building security, morning assemblies, telling the kids what cops do, here's how to call for help. We were a goddamn joke. There are worse things to be. You think I don't know that? You think I give a shit that kids were laughing at us in the back of class? The teens were throwing soda cans at our car. Good for them. At least they were having fun. Tarek was never having fun. He was just burning inside. Humiliation and bile, a stomach full of it. He hadn't found the code on tanks that day. I don't know. Guy would have either put in his 2 weeks notice or just drawn his gun and walked into the nearest Orca mansion. 22 arrived at the building. Happened like the defense attorney said. I told Chopin some bullshit about smelling contraband on the second floor. He started poking around. I went straight for the third floor because that's where the bosses would hang out back when I was a kid. Where they'd give us spare change to buy their groceries and pick up their laundry. Never met this creek or his pod in my life until we stopped Anchor Tan. Different gens. I never seen anything like the bloodbath in that room. All 4 of the pod were dead when I got there. Believe me. Don't believe me? I ain't no Hound of Icaran, and I don't even think he could have done that either. Considering how he stumbled out of that water closet like a bloody water balloon. I did whack him in the back of the head, but my hand to God, I'm not convinced it did anything. Face down in blood out like that, could have woken him up with a nuke. Couldn't have woken him up with a nuke. When the Hound dropped, I searched him, followed protocol, found that knife in his hand. I called down so everyone was dead, that Blue Blood bolted, Tariq called after them, and yeah, I opened the window and tried to follow. Yes, Tariq didn't know the ladder was out. Figured I would chase him down, cause by the time I stepped back inside, he was upstairs. I walked up those steps expecting him to be puking, crying, shaking, I don't know. Then he starts yelling down, happy, ecstatic. He can't believe this scoop of the century. I realize I know what he's talking about. The Blue Blood superiors that you know about Prop 492? Lots of people know the deal with Prop 492, even non-blooded civvies. Nothing wrong with any of that so long as it stayed a rumor. As long as the state didn't know, we knew where the pillars were going to be built. It was a nice thing, believe it or not, people in the lower wards whispering about big money coming in. A little excitement to look forward to. Tariq was excited too. All he could see was forward, barely reading the words in front of his eyes. not giving a shit about anything behind him, not caring about what he was trampling over. I didn't plan on doing anything, if that matters, if you care. I was moving slow, but I wasn't trying to hide. After taking it off the hound, I still had that knife. That goddamn knife in my hand. You all seem like educated people, so I take it none of you all believe in evil? We believe in evil down in the lower wards. It's like a fog. Hangs around certain people places. And it poured off that knife like a water fountain. The devil made you do it? Haven't heard that one in a while. It wasn't for that dark card being there. You know, Tariq told me once. Said he wanted to become mayor. I did this stupid fake laugh and told him he had my vote. I don't know why I did that. I shouldn't have done that. Laughed at him? Shouldn't have lied to him. And so, Your Honor, the people will be dismissing the charge of homicide in the first degree with prejudice. What does that mean? They can't charge you with Officer Chopin's murder again at a later date just because they found more evidence. And the 4 other charges of second-degree homicide, we'll be dismissing the 4 charges of second-degree homicide without prejudice. So she's not quite convinced I couldn't have killed Creek's pod. Miller's blood having already been on the knife you used to get free in the first place was pretty huge. Right with Rogers admitting that you basically stumbled out a walking corpse, but the way the state see it, their murders aren't any more solved than they were at the beginning of this trial. It's to be expected. And the jury will be dismissed, this court will be adjourned, and you, Mr. Akari, are free to go. Everything that's happened to you the last few days, how is that leaving you so shocked? I'm not shocked, I'm just grateful, Counselor, you have my ahem. Your Honor, is there perhaps something else you wanted to say? Well, if you insisted, I guess for some reason, even though the jury's been dismissed and it's actually their job to do this part and the charges were dropped, I have this strong overwhelming urge to say, not guilty. No, that needs to be much bigger. Maybe I cast the innocent? No, that sounds dumb. State building. Floor 48. So, how do you plan on celebrating? Don't I? We won in case you two somehow missed it. And won so definitively that the police and even the Blue Bloods can't hold a grudge. Right. My apologies. I'm grateful to you, of course. It's just that I still haven't gotten an answer to the question that's been haunting me. Even more so than whether or not I killed Chopin. Someone slaughtered Creek's entire pod. Then they had my life in the palm of their hands and it framed you, Sosuke. I don't think they were doing you any favors. And yet they did. They let me live. Feels strange showing everything to someone so unknowable. Well, you'll have plenty of time to think on it, spending the rest of your life hiding your head in the sand, ignoring the vast riches that sit untapped in a savings account across the sea. Adona, he made his stance quite clear. Don't tend to hide, Morgan. The Blue Bloods can try whatever they like. They can find me standing right where I'm always stood, protecting my family. Seems there's someone who'd like to speak with you about just that. Sosuke. Moko. Young Master. Please forgive me, young master. I failed you repeatedly. I'll accept any punishment. Very well. 180 years of manual labor. Fuck, that's a lot. Oh. Yeah, that's about as merciful as I expected. At least he picked a good number. 100 and... Of course, young master. You need to spend the sentence serving as my head of security, so that I know you're actually doing it. And that means you won't be able to do other jobs anymore, even ones the elders ask you to do. Even delivering messages. It's a punishment handed down by the heir to the noble house Ikaria, Sosuke. Who could possibly overrule it? As you say. I'll start right away, if you don't mind. That is probably wise. Grandfather is outside in the motorcade as he's had nothing but criticisms for the current formation. Chairman is here. He came here. Probably just happened to be on his way to the airport. He is, Counselor Morgan, surprisingly astute of you. Though he is leaving quite early, if he just wants to get to the airport. None of our private planes are even fueled. Seems to have been a universal truth that old people like to get to the airport early. That sounds very wise. Sarah of House Paralegal? Who are you quoting? Then, if you'll excuse me for a moment, Counselor. Yeah, feel free to. Take Sarah with you. Pardon. If you don't let her look at your tattoo now, I'll never hear the end of it. Ah, yes, well, that's... Right then, I'll find a corner in which to lift up my shirt. Un instant. Congratulations, Counselor. You exceeded on all fronts. Thanks. Not satisfied? Makoto seems to be in a good mood. If you ask him for a bonus now, should I just negotiate with my employer directly? You're the one who hired me, aren't you? At the very least, you're the one who put my name forward to Makoto. It's easy to see looking back. You're the only one who's acted in Sosuke's interest this entire time. Who isn't a child? And what of it? Why me? Why does it matter? Because I value my privacy? I want to know why a woman with your resources would put an ant like me under her magnifying glass. Such cruel metaphors you employ. Someone who values their privacy that much should, in the future, avoid directly confronting the board of multinational corporations. Noble's board of directions you were. Not among them myself, but when one woman shifts the opinion of a room that's stagnant even by a millimeter, word gets around. My, you really are a shy little girl. No putting the genie back in the bottle, but I won't recommend you to anyone else if it bothers you that much. Thanks. Though you can be pretty shy yourself, letting Makoto take all the credit. Why the subterfuge? I've already overextended myself in this matter. A woman from my side of the house intruding on the IFG's business. I don't mind that I'll have to rip out fingernails in front of the elders as recompense, but I thought I might spare myself the additional pinky or so. You're being literal, aren't you? Disobedience always has a cost, especially in old families, especially for daughters. But not flinching as you pay the toll carries its own kind of power, don't you think? Maybe I'm just trying to dress up my cowardice as dignity. Disobedience used to come naturally to me. It gets harder the older you get. Hard to believe your independence wasn't just immaturity. That's why I'm glad Makoto's such a good boy. I don't want him to feel any guilty later in life. Yes, Makoto certainly takes his responsibility seriously. Can't imagine where he gets it from. I was such a hellraiser. He must get it from his father. I suppose it's an interesting mark below Sosuke's eye. Looks like a mole, but it seems to be hereditary. Does Makoto know Sosuke's father, his father? Does Sosuke know? I'd be very disappointed in Sosuke's intelligence if he didn't. That's why Sosuke left the family to join the military, wasn't it? Why did he ask to become the Hound when he came back? Self-imposed exile for interfering in your arranged marriage? Interfering. We were young then, but we still knew what we were doing. We knew there was no stopping the marriage. We didn't cover up the pregnancy, others would. Or just eliminated the problem themselves. Sosuke left before the bridal shower. Sudden enlistment, certainly, but I don't blame him for not wanting to be there on guard duty as I married another man. Makoto is Sosuke's son, though. That means he carries his blood. If he stands to inherit from both his father and mother, his worth. I understand this is going to be hard for you to believe, coming from a woman like me. But Makoto's already worth enough. He has his health, he has his mother, and his father will always be close by. Every moment we've shared as a family is worth its weight in gold. And as you've now seen, when given the opportunity to choose between Makoto and the blue blood fortune, Sosuke chose the former. He, you, all of you. You could have it all. Why don't you just want it all? We already have it. I see. You don't understand, do you? I hope you do someday. Let's get back to something I fully understand then. Bargaining. One blood test for Makoto could split your precious house right down the middle. Your husband will be infuriated assuming he has a pulse. And whatever connections you married him for will burn up in seconds. Unless you guarantee me that I'm free to turn down any job. Foo. Don't make unnecessary threats, counselor. It makes you look weak. Take it from someone with experience. You're already free to leave the house. But if you find yourself slinking back, don't be too hard on yourself about it. It's just what the house does. Now, would you excuse me? Sosuke seems to have satisfied your companion's curiosity for the time being, and it's very rare for him to have any time to himself. You understand, do you? Counselor Morgan? Emma? What's that look for? So, that's 2 wins for me now, isn't it? After Rogers went nuts and perjured himself all over the place, you're calling that shitstorm a win? Definitely wasn't a loss. You're ridiculous. Thanks, by the way, for letting things play out as long as they did. I imagine you wanted to put the brakes on things a number of times back there. But now that's all out, my client won't be getting knifed by cops or blue bloods. At least not for anything he didn't do. You think I was happy to let the Hound of Icaria walk out of my courtroom? Your courtroom. I'll have to have a word with the adjutant. Please don't. But yes, I had my doubts. The OC unit has been getting a number of odd reports in the last 24 hours, truth be told. What do you mean? Bursts of anonymous tips about figures in red being spotted around Creek's place before and after the killings. Figures in red? That's right. The rust. Ah, right, the rust. I don't like the timing, but it's not as if OC can ignore the idea altogether. Someone killed those four, and it wasn't Sosuke or Rogers. You don't like the rust for it. Where's your head at? Whoever killed Creekspot did it with such unhinged brutality. Yet was executed with precision so cold-blooded that they managed to virtually erase their presence from the scene afterwards. Yep. Tanks and Creek were both shot from fairly close range, and near enough to their solar plexus, I suppose. Bashing Trey's skull in was overkill, yes, but it was the safest way to erase anything his mods may have recorded. And even if it was an afterthought, that overcorrection is in line with perfectionism interrupted by... Bah, forget it. I'm seeing things that aren't there. First sign of obsession. Obsession? I'm jealous. You seem like you never let anything get to you. It's unpleasant, you know, feeling like you're possessed by something. Or someone. Well, it was easy to wrest control back. If it were easy to wrest control back, it wouldn't be an obsession. Just puppy love. Oh, that's me. Gotta take this call. See you around, Morgan. Yeah, see you around. Just don't go tell anyone that was a win, or I'll have you arrested for spreading misinformation. Well, we can't have that. Okay, Morgan, I fulfilled my obligation to Sarah now, so now you can buy me a goddamn drink. Pardon? You can start your 108-hour sentence tomorrow. 80-year sentence tomorrow. You've got some paperwork we need to go through before then. I don't want to do it sober. Oh, you're serious? Of course I am. Everyone knows this tradition for a client to buy their lawyer a drink after beating charges like that. In this city, they can only take him to this one special bar, Kintsugi. Never heard of that tradition? Or that bar? Well, yes, you lived a very sheltered life under the roof of House Icaria, but I forgive your ignorance. Time for you to put the fat wallet you've been accruing the whole time to good use. Suppose I do owe you a great deal. Very well, but first I must inform Lady Mirai and the young master. Go right ahead. Be my guest. What was that about, Adonai? Did you want to get a look at Sosuke's tattoo as well? I'll take a rain check. Sosuke seemed much more animated this afternoon, don't you think? Did you say something to him? No. No, I didn't do anything. I see. And perhaps his injuries were just taxing him more than we realized. That must be it. It had been threatening to rain all day, gray skies spanning a slate blue world. It was cold and all the heaters were humming in their rush to overcorrect for it. At 3 p.m. probably, raindrops started hitting the windshield stills. Not a problem, she had her umbrella. At 3:15, the adults started leaning back in their chairs, watches and phones being checked. They were preparing to leave. At 3:24, another topic is brought up. The gathering resigns themselves to a continuation. It's 3:45 by the time the girl is able to excuse herself. She has 15 minutes to get back to school. Hardly impossible on foot if she hurried, but she could have asked to be driven there. For some reason, the thought never crossed her mind. She hesitates at the door. She left her umbrella behind back upstairs. It's not like her to be so absent-minded. The smart thing to do would be go back up and get it. It's 3:49. At 3:51, she is jogging, a non-committal yet still undignified rush. When she sees the time on her phone roll over to 3:52, she starts to run. She hates running. A small part of her considers sending a text. She's never been the one to text first. Come to think of it, she's never been the one to text second. She only had one number in her phone's contact after all. At 3:56, the school gates are in sight. Her eyes had been straining to see them. She wasn't looking down. Her knees stung in a shallow, sharp way. The palms of her hands were embedded with specks of gravel where she caught herself. Rain diluted blood faintly rolled down her leg as she dripped water mundanely tiled floors of the hallway. At 3:59, she paused to at least catch her breath before sliding open the door. If her heart hadn't been beating so loudly in her ears, she would have easily heard the voices behind it. Ha ha ha. Where do you even come up with this stuff? Hey, I can't promise it's going to be that exciting every week around here, but... You, what are you? I thought you had a family thing. Oh shit, are you okay? What happened? You're soaked and... I thought, who are you all? We're the Mystery Club. Name pending, I hope. I was told the name could change. You were right, Eve. I just went around to people on campus and tried being friendly, being myself, and people started signing up. But forget that, your knee. It's fine. You must be freezing. Let me give you a coat. Screw it, I'll just carry you to the nurse myself. Stop. Ma'am, this girl just showed up and she's bleeding. What? Bleeding? Everyone stand back. Where is she? Who? What's her name? I don't know. I don't think I've seen her before. You, girl, come with me. I'll take you to the infirmary. Ma'am, she's cold. That's very nice of you, but it's not sanitary to share uniforms. Stay here and wait for the floors to be cleaned. Don't worry about it. I can walk on my own. Must be Persona 6. True! Farkinsugi! With a little sprinkle of salt along the edge. There you have it. Oh, that looks wonderful. Thank you. Of course. Let me know if you need anything else. Must admit, Morgan, this is quite a fine establishment. And so exclusive. The whole staff here on hand to attend to just the two of us. You can imagine what the waiting line must be like, right? Lucky for you, you've got a man working on the inside. I can assure you a table at any time, Sosuke. You or any of your housemates. Ever need a quiet spot to lay low from judging eyes of high society? Now you know where to send them. Oof, I might just do that. And these prices, so reasonable. Shit, knew I should have gone with the digital menus. Hey, Sosuke, the name they have for you, the Hound. That's a title you were given or part of the mantle you chose to take up? No, I was called that long before I started delivering messages. Long before I got my tattoo. Truth be told, I'm not sure where it comes from or when the people started using it. Rainbow Worm now? I'm almost done! Childhood nickname, I suppose. Earned by following Mireille around like a puppy. I never, who told you Mireille was the heir when we were... It's a miracle you didn't break under torture. You know that? The Hound of Icaria. So everyone called you a dog when you were a kid? Jokingly. Lovingly. Mireille's right. I don't know anything about. One of the many things I've long since acknowledged that I'm missing. But obsession, addiction, those are easy enough to grasp. I've rolled the dice plenty of times by now. There are no demons haunting me, no other drivers in the car. Just me sitting in the dark with a hole in my chest. When it's hungry, I feed it. It'll never be full, because that hole was there first. And it built a girl around itself so it would have a place to hide. How can you tell? Or they called you that lovingly. Suppose you never know. You just trust. And if you do trust, then that's your answer. And besides, what's insulting about being compared to a dog? Everyone loves dogs. Probably even you. For your information, I like dogs just fine, Sosuke. I could never live as one. Everyone already collared in this world, tagged, labeled, classified, and put in a box. Even so, I refuse to sit at the end of someone else's leash. Better to remain astray. Ah! Made with Unity. Damn. I've done it. I wasn't joking, looking out for anything in particular. Russ gave me and the others food and stuff for telling them where the blues go and who they talk to. My shoes have been feeling too small, and the blue guys in the building have been real busy lately. Thought if I hung around there, I might see something that Russ would give me new shoes for. Never saw anything worth anything. So you gave up? No. I got scared. What scared you? You won't believe me. No one believes me. Everyone says I'm a liar. Everyone says I'm a liar too. Are you? Can't remember. You see, someone took something that belonged to me. I don't feel right without it. But I think you could help me find it. What did you lose? My face. I saw the red hood. Except she was a lady, not a girl, and she didn't have her hood up. Didn't get a good look at her face, but she was all red. Red hair? What is this? What's this? Gold. The thanks. But are you sure I wasn't any help? You've been a huge help. Now I know to look for red hair. I've tracked more elusive prey with less. Nah, I'm sure she'll be fine. $22, $34, $28. You know it's 100%. All right, so couple of things first. First, we save. Has her sent? I'm more worried for him than I am for her, to be honest with you. Woo, we'll do the bonus scenarios after the dulls, but if I may take a second to open the doors now that I'm not going to be reading things constantly. Let's see that charm. Well, I didn't do it on High Roller. I don't get that one. Not a real gambler? You know it. All right. Let's see here. Oh, now you opened it up. Silly thing doesn't... All right. I have to have the fucking menu open. Hello. The shape-shifting assassin? Yeah, she'll be fine. Dolls. Man. You know what sucks? That's gonna be the last. This is gonna be the last stream of this game for a bit. Darn. Serra Saturdays? I know. Supposed to come out this year? True. Can't deny that. Sand Saturdays in a couple of weeks if you choose. That's also true. Passive blue, not tears afterbirth? This could actually be cute, baby. Fuck. That's repentance. Never mind. I don't know anything. Oh. Oh. It's bad. What? Or really good? Name one quality 4 item room item. That's blue. I don't think it exists. That's what I'm trying to think of right now. Genesis? Wait, shit, is that in the item room? No, it can't be blue. It can't be blue and white. Can't be blue and white. But it has to be blue. I'm really thinking. Give me a second. What's a really bad item that's blue? Like, tier 0 is like just as hard to think of. Keeper's Kiln? Yeah? That's 2. Description me. Bombs / explodes when damaged. Bombs / explodes when damaged? When damaged, you explode? I mean, this sounds bad, but I don't know if I have this unlocked. Curse of the Tower? Oh, fuck, that is blue! Sorry. I for sure thought this was gonna be green. I was like, Yoshi, what are you talking about? That's green as hell. That's why I was like, no, obviously it can't be Curse of the Tower, Yoshi. Like, it's whatever. It's fine. It's whatever. Trinkets. Rainbow worm. Uh-huh. Multi-trait tears, but it's also one of them, huh? Definitely tears. Wrath of the Lamb. Not red. Tears. Tears from Wrath of the Lamb. That's not a whole lot of items. Why am I blanking on it, however? That's tier rate. Yeah, tier stat. So it's just regular ass tiers. Also, it's not green or brown. Tiers. Less than 9. Not red. I mean, this I'm colorblind. That's true. You do have that advantage, don't you? Yo, Chris Lettuce, thank you for the follow. Shit. Partridge, Wrath of the Lamb. I'm just trying to think of something that's like blue. I feel like that's the only thing. Maybe this? Oh. I really thought that was it. Blue gray. Just blue gray. Is it really you? I would hope so. Wait a second, am I stupid? Where are all the blue-gray items at? Is it this? Pushpin! Pushpin! $75-second delay. It's fine, it's fine. Dumpin! Alright. Next. Some gamer fire. Next. This one is on enemy death. You can really feel that delay. It's quite a bit. Damn. Arky. I'm just guessing it's this. Yep, items availability. Let's go. Boss item, sure. Whatever. Is maybe it'll reach you? Ah, okay, okay. I need a Pokemon, by the way. Ditto. God fucking damn it. Can't you guys type faster? White or pink? Higher. Yeah, no, Halucha's not white. Yeah, sure, fucking whatever. 7, 8, or 9. Okay, I can put in Zacian Crown now. Fairy type from Gen 9. What? What other fairy paradox is there? Iron Valiant? Yeah, there you go. What? Okay. Also not pink. Sure, whatever. Screamtail. All right, there we go. Whatever. What? Stunfisk? Yeah, maybe. Wrong direction. Stunfisk facing right? Yeah. About like Whalmer? No. Oh, this is easy? I don't think it is. Alcreamy? I mean, Milcree? Where's my fucking flat as fuck fish? What the fuck is this? I actually just don't know. I don't even have a good guess. Lamb Pearl? Oh. Is it just a fish but facing right? Like Luminion? No. Finno? No. Hey, are any of you facing right or are you all facing left? Yo, motherfucker, they're all facing left. Revavroom? Fucking maybe. There's no shot this is a real goddamn Pokemon. What the hell is this shit? I don't know. The fuck is this? This Gastrodon? Doesn't look like it. Maybe Shellos? No. Trapinch missing 3 legs? Shuppet? Doesn't have the thing on the top of his head? It might be Trapinch? Maybe? I need a hint. Ground type and it's green. Ah! Fucked up. Rude. That's what I'm saying. After battle, this Pokemon carefully sharpens its tusk on river rocks. It needs to take care of its tusk. If one breaks, it will never grow back. Donphan? Granbull? Dragon? With tusks? In a cave. Bagon? Gen 5 evolution stage 2 not fully evolved. Zue. Yeah, that's super fracture. All right, fracture. Hey, I always forget it doesn't immediately go from from the pre-evolution to its third stage. I always forget fracture exists. Okay, that's Glaceon. Like, come on. Yo, Nikola Tesla. Darn. What about the card? Oh shit, you're right. I forgot, there's a new one. Grass or bug type. Chikorita? Caterpie? I don't feel Caterpie. I feel like it might be like a Skip Bloom. None of this has given me any help. Mawile? I don't think it's Mawile. This is like Grass Bug. Get this one. Mawile would have Steel or Psychic. Depending on like which one. Burmy? Burmy? I think Burmy's a good guess. Never mind. Bad guess. It could have been Burmy, but it doesn't look like it's fully evolved. Maybe like a Obama Snow? No. Yeah, maybe. Fuck off. Whimsicott? It's a fucking full art. Okay, so who is this? Wooloo? It might be Wooloo. Just like a big old Wooloo. Yup. Ah, Hops Wooloo. With the 75-second delay. I thought it could be Wooloo earlier, but I was like, it's a grass card. Like, look at all the green here. Then I saw it was a full art, and I was like, oh. I understand. Ah, fuck. By the way, when it was loading, it said it might take longer on Sundays, which is very funny to me. Your brain, I would never scream. Had not been by the old pine. Okay, I'm just got to trust you on that one. Wanted to rob a victim. Damn, kid. Alright. Whoever was at the hot spring had a heavyweight weapon. Let's take a look at our weapons. Tea, scissors, bow and arrow, and a brick. Hot spring did not have these two. Dozen with poison tea also had brown hair. Let me guess. 2 with brown hair. It's Saturday. Brown, brown, no hair, black. Okay. These first two. The poison tea was not you two. Make sure this is right. Hot Springs had heavyweight weapons. Yeah, okay. This fingerprint was found on the bow and arrow. Fuck yeah, show me. Sister Lapis. Okay, we have a bit of information now. We know you are not at the springs and you are not at the springs. Person who wanted to break into the industry was at the party lake. Okay, sure. The fuck. Person with a pair of something. Is it some kind of shears? Gardening shears. Yep. Okay. Wanted to escape blackmail. Okay. Person with the shears wanted to escape blackmail. Which means what exactly? Well, if you wanted to escape blackmail, you can't be it. So you have to be it. Which means you had this. We know the motive for those two was this. So whoever, they can't be there. So their motive, they can't be here. The Obsidian did not bring the bow and arrow. True. Poison tea was not in the hot springs. True. I brought a pair of gardening shears. True. By the old pine. Well, Dame Obsidian. I know you're fucking lying. How does that help me, though? Well, we know you are not at the hot springs yourself. That's good information. Oh, you can't be there. Wait, 1 second. No, you can't be at the hot springs. You have this. There we go. Okay. Dame Obsidian. How? Brick. Where? Springs. Why? To rob. Bam. 4 minutes. Not too bad on a Saturday. Akinator. Very beautiful, very powerful lumpfish. Nope. Wait, we should do lumpfish. I don't fucking know what you're talking about. I only know 2 fishes, all right? I know Joel and I know the fish with boots. All right. Lump fish. What am I supposed to look up? I looked up the lumpfish. What about pufferfish eating carrot that goes bleh? Why is he blue? Doesn't necessarily have to be blue, it seems. A lot of colors possible on the lumpfish. I can definitely do the pufferfish. Wait, the pufferfish eating a carrot that goes bleh. I can do this. I can do this. No, I can't. Just kidding. The animal a pet? No, right? That's like... It's in captivity, but it's not a pet. Where? Does your animal lay eggs? I'm like 100% sure. No, it's about to be butchered in a kitchen. Rest in peace. Sorry, I'm looking over the morphology of the classification of. Damn. Anyway, yes. It's going to guess a normal ass pufferfish. Does your animal have wings now? It might, but I have faith that it won't. All right. Sharp teeth. I don't think so. Ugly? I wouldn't call it ugly. It's just a fish. Bigger than my foot? Yeah, probably. I don't have very large feet. Yes. No. Yes. Freshwater? No. It's an ocean fish. Good to eat? Yeah. North of America? I don't know. Colorful. Not particularly. Flat. No. The opposite. Bigger, larger than a cat? I don't know. Does it have stripes? Yeah, kinda. Big teeth. Yeah, it got big teeth. Found under bridges. I do not know. Zebra stripes? No. Heavy? Don't know. More than 20 pounds? No. Black and white? No. Not every time. Native to Florida. Literally fucking couldn't tell you, brother. Got tentacles. Nope. A long body. No. It's small. Yes, it can be dangerous. Yes. 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 A sharp beak. Probably. Is that what you would call it? Yes. No. It's not bigger than a shark. It is a pufferfish. Well, one day I'll learn how Akinator does it. Anyway. It did guess a pufferfish. So congratulations to the pufferfish. Let me try this again. Apparently, if I want a meme, I have to go to character. Find a type of animal. Yeah. That's true. Bullshit. That's what it is. Does your character kill people? What the fuck? Nope. Like carrots. Yep. Create poison. Technically toxic. Linked with food. Sure is. Wow, it got that fast. Holy. 2,967 times. It hit the frame so well. It fits the frame so well. That is an iconic fish, you're right. All right. You know what that means, right? Bonus scenarios. Bam. Simple, easy. Oh, shit. There's a couple here, huh? Network files, Vidical Integrator, Icaria. Begin playback. Why rubbing alcohol specifically? Nostalgia. Reminds me of the day spent bandaging scratched knees and blistered knuckles. You did that for Makoto? No. Some other boy who was always overexerting himself. I like the smell of blood for the same reason. Oh. And antiseptic. And scalpels. That boy was always so hardy. He made for the perfect test subject. To test subject, I still think about finishing my medical degree sometimes, but I feel like my hobby would lose some of its therapeutic value if I did. What hobby is that? Poison making. Yeah, okay, fair. What's with that reaction? You make it sound very intimidating just now. Oh, I was trying to make it sound exciting. If I tell people I'm interested in herbal remedies, they all think I'm a dreadful bore. Or worse, I'm gonna try and sell them candles. Well said. Very well said indeed. You have much of a finer appreciation for these things than your so-called superior, you know. I make countless immaculately thought out references to Hegel and Ozymandias. And that red woman stares at me as if I'm quoting comic books at her. Comic books can be good too. Comics are for children. Are you a child? What about graphic novels? What is a graphic novel? One P, for example. Oh, One P. Who's your favorite? Saturdays are so back for now. Why list King Arthur alongside those other historical figures? Arthur was based on multiple historical figures, I'll have you know. But even if his exploits are not factual, it still stands that he united a divided people and defended his homeland from barbarism. He also met fairies and wizards and fought dragons. I know, impressive, wouldn't you say? Very much so. The Once and Future King was one of the first books I read all on my own. That's quite impressive. The vocabulary was, I'll admit, difficult at times. But I was reading a version with handwritten annotations, so I managed just fine. There was writing in the margins like a hand-me-down. Hand-me-downs are for peasants who can't afford anything better. Was it given to you by an older family member? Yes. But it was not handed down to me, you see. Oh. I went on to annotate it further myself so that I may someday pass it on to some other reader. So tell me, does that sound like a hand-me-down to you? You've got until I finish smoking this. Or I get bored. Very well. And I get bored fast. Oh, well, if our time is limited, perhaps we should focus on the topic of singular importance, such as this lady. I'm back. Sorry about that. Oh well, if our time is limited, perhaps you such as athletics. And just like that, I knew he was gassed, lowered my frame, and flipped him out of the ring in one motion. An overwhelming trampling victory. Best kind there is. I can imagine. Oh, you done any wrestling? Any MMA yourself, little copper? Not physically, no. It's difficult to find partners who are a good match for my build. Sounds like an excuse. You sure you're not just scared? Confrontations can be intimidating, but sports are not arguments. They are a pure expression of noble competitive spirit. Ha! That is to say, I would never back down from a challenge. Ho ho! Well said, well said. I know exactly what you mean. When you lock eyes, there's nothing that needs to be said. I agree. So it'll be arm wrestling, sumo, chess boxing. Why not all three? Good, very good, you little. Sir, what is it? Can't you see I'm in the middle of... Well, what is it? The VTOL needs to leave now if we're going to be on time, sir. Here's a quote then for your little survey, Copper. Success can be a prison, but even in a cell, a man who's mastered himself remains a lord. I'm not sure I understand that one. What the hell? Makoto-tan said that. It made perfect sense. And then you engage. I see. So you need me to stand here and film you two because why? Because Sosuke is teaching me how to do a 1-inch punch. I need to record it from a distance in order to practice it later. Why? But because she asked me very politely, Morgan. What more do you want? No, why do you need to know this, Sarah? don't I? Surely you can intuit the advantages of a 1-inch punch. Because there's no windup. You can execute it without telegraphing your move to your opponent and deliver maximum force to a critical weak point on even the tightest of close quarter combat. Not to mention, if the opponent has triggered any loser flags, your damage will double for each of them. What Serra means is that an opponent who's overconfident is likely to leave themselves open at a vital moment, Morgan. And that's not incorrect, right? Well, I don't know anything about close quarters combat or loser flags. I don't understand basic physics, don't I? So I can say this much with complete and utter certainty. Hey, when performed by the same person, hey, all else being equal, stop. A 1-inch punch will never be more effective than just throwing a normal one. That can't be true. Why would you? Am I wrong? You didn't have to say it like that. There's no need for you to say it like that. How am I the bad guy here? The fact that you can even say that is, it's not like there's like any rules about human martial arts apply to androids in the first place, right? That is true. See, perfect Ukemi. She says lying. Survey workplace. Throwing out flowers. It always depresses me, actually putting them in the bed. They end up just withering around my place. I might have some kind of record for number of flowers killed at this point. Why do you buy so many flowers? I don't buy them. I get sent them. And chocolates and wine and lockets of hair. Sometimes all mixed together. How do these people even know where to... Mama? What? You give anybody my address? What kind of question is that? How do they get my address then? Maybe you stop putting your personal contacts on your business cards. You wouldn't be so easy to find. So now if a woman's friendly, she deserves to get stalked? Not very forward of you, Mama. Forward? You think I don't know about forward? You brats don't know shit about political correctness. When I was your age, we'd list. He's going on for a while if you need to say battery or data or whatever. So this is where you previously worked? Yeah. That was what they call a number one gal. And that involved people buying you lots of drinks? Selling dreams. That sounds like a very nice way to make a living. Nah, it's pretty mean. What are you doing here anyway? Gloating? You're not gonna come back, don't lounge around. Your old fans will get the wrong idea. Come on, Mama, I'm just sitting here. And the crowd's already gathering. My bad. Will you ever consider making a return? Nah, I didn't hate it. Don't feel ashamed of it or the people I met doing it. Even if some of them are nagging grumps. Keep it up and I'm handing you a mop. I want to be moving up, you know? Always up. And the only places up from here are those cloud palaces where the courtesans lounge on golden couches and get fed grapes or whatever. Big gap from here to up there and there's no footholds. Either you make it all the way or you fall. Need a little more security in my income than that. Plus working security, I get paid to punch the teeth out of handsy assholes. Not even the most powerful courtesan in the city gets to enjoy that feeling. Without getting into more details than you'd be comfortable with, how high is Miss Kim in the organization's leadership? Pretty high, but she always works here as a manager. Does she need to? We're not as rich as the Ikaris or the insane as the Rust. We all gotta work if we want to eat, leadership included. I see. But even so, this worst place seems very high energy for someone of her age. I think she's comfortable here. She married into the Blue Bloods, you know. The pictures of her I've seen, the vibe I get, I think she was kind of a trophy wife. Oh. Her husband's whole family dying, leaving her in charge. She got burned on that deal. But she handled it, obviously. And I can't name any other old guard I could tolerate hosting under. The hell are you whispering over there? Not whispering anything, Mama. Your hearing's just gone to shit. He's my brother-in-law's illegitimate son. Had his mistress give birth at the manor. Guess he was afraid if she went to the hospital the paparazzi might notice. Of course, as it turns out, that was the least of our worries that night. I could pass a message to him if you'd like. The hell would I even say? We're already dangling literally all the money we can in front of him. And he's not taking the bait. I didn't mean another offer. I thought you might want to pass a more personal sentiment. Ha, fat chance. We don't share any blood. We've never met. And if the fox asked him to kill me, he wouldn't blink. I think that Sosuke would blink. Give it up. Sosuke and I aren't family, little girl. But if you wanted to be family, Ah, forget this shit. I got a job to get back to. If I look away for 5 seconds, all the talents around here devolves back into high school drama addicts. She took my locker. He stole my deodorant. No one can deny your work ethic, Mrs. Kim. Thanks, I know. But you still gotta pay for a full hour's worth of that booth. Well, don't I be upset if I put it under her name? Probably. Campaign. Oh. All right, it's recording. Tanks, do you have to record this? If I don't record it, Creekle asks me for notes when he doesn't remember any of it next week. Guilty as charged. You have to video record it. It's fine, Miller. Also, I don't know how to do it, so it's just audio. What's up, Trey? Eyes bothering you again? Huh? Are they flickering? Nah, but you're staring a hole in the wall. Oh, I was just thinking, like, are we cyberpunk? I think we qualify, yeah, but we can go get you some felonies if you're feeling. No, I mean, like, culturally, is this cyberpunk? What do you mean? Just dice and paper. Easy entertainment that can't be bugged or tracked. Perfect way to fight Big Brother, don't you think? Yeah, but we could do cards or something, too. You think playing Goldfish is cyberpunk? Well, no, but like, a tabletop RPG? That's what you're on about? I'll be real, you sound dumb as shit right now, man. Huh? There's literally nothing more cyberpunk than a tabletop RPG. He's got a point. Learn your history, Trey. Now pay attention. As you approach the town walls, swords clanging against shields ring out. Voices rise and arrows are loosed. You stumble upon the closing acts of a fierce battle, and it's clear the players tend to let it play out to its natural conclusion. Up to the parapets, a stern, horned woman, her long proud hair slicked with the same blood that drips down her brow, spots you. Her eyes go wide. She doesn't seem pleased to see you. She thinks we're like enemy reinforcements. We kinda are. We got a charter from the dukedom to protect its people, and the horned guys are all foreigners. Can't we ignore that? If I break an oath, my build is screwed. Oh. I have telekinesis, right? You're gonna toss her off the wall? What? No, talk to her. What's the spell? You have a telepathy talent, if that's what you're asking. Right, okay, I use telepathy. Roll the dice. I got a 14, okay. Skimming the surface of her mind, you see visions of allies cut down and civilians fire upon. Her skull is teeming with rage and despair at this brazen defilement of the rules of war. Oh shit, this is a Hornling village and she's under attack. Tough luck, you've got an oath. Yeah, but if I ignore the plight of the innocent, my build is screwed. Paladins have it rough. Paladins do have it rough. Well, can we get inside? The woman is injured, but not beaten. Within a few paces of her lies the lever that opens the gate. She eyes you and readjusts her grip on the club. She has seriously considered destroying the device to prevent you from entering. Can she hear me? Yeah. Okay, I used persuasion. We're cool, lady. 19. Every time. How do I even... Taken aback by her earnest appeal, she spots a glimmer of hope in your arrival, and betting on that hope, she throws open the gates for you. Do you have a different dice than the rest of us? What did we come here for again? Ahem. Rumors of a powerful necromantic tome in the area drew you towards the supposed final resting place of Elsbeth, the never dying. Okay, persuasion. Ask the lady where Elsbeth's tome is. 20. That's not even... Well, she is at first taken aback by your abrupt change of topic. Your clever wording subtly hints at the idea that Elsbeth's crypt might have a weapon powerful enough to drive off her villagers' raiders for good. The elders used to frighten us with tales of Elsbeth's might to get us to behave. Remember, my nan would tell us that she'd rise up from under the town church if we didn't do our chores. Okay, so the dungeon's in the church. But of course, the church is locked down and full of our women and children along with the sick and elderly. We never risk their safety by opening their church doors while this battery yet rages. Well, yeah, but I can just pick the lock, right? Come on, you can always do this. Do what? You always do this. You always luck your way out of the battles and then we get beat up for 15 turns. I come back to revive you, don't I? I don't think you've ever even lost HP yet. I'm playing smart, avoiding conflict. Avoiding all the scenarios I set up too. Alright, I'll throw a knife at one of the raiders. 19. Seriously? The knife hits him right in his eye and he dies instantly, dropping the keg of burn gel he was rushing towards the nearest fortification. Wait, that's me. That's my guy right near. He dropped a bomb? I have 3 charges of valorous interception. I can shield you. So the Hornlings in this village are legal citizens. I thought they were all foreign to this land? Village is lorded over by vampires though, remember? So you wouldn't want to live here. It's like a shit town or a ghetto for immigrants or whatever. How's that work? Why is the Duke cool with vampires? It's all legal. The Hornlings just pay blood taxes instead of gold for their lord's protection. So they got vampires here too. You go to the castle and kill the vampire lords. I mean, you can do whatever. The vampire clan is the legal protectorate in the area, so you'd be committing a crime. Is your build screwed if you commit a crime, Miller? I think if it's like the right thing to do, it doesn't break any oaths. That's up to the DM. Does killing the vampire lords the right thing to do? Kind of subjective. Oof, not what you want to hear from your good guy. Well, I'm not a good guy. I'm only playing as one. So Tanks, if we charge into the castle, it's probably filled with traps and guards and shit, right? I'm not going to tell you. Come on. Look, it's a castle. There'll be defenses and shit, yeah. I'm game. Hornlings seem cool. Let's go kill some landlords. After the fight we just went through. We just rested. Yeah, but you just did like 5 nat 20s in one encounter. I think you might be burning through all your luck. I'm happy to burn through all my luck if it means getting to kill some bloodsuckers with you boys. Thanks, Creek. But also, you were literally out of change of fortune charges. We just rested. It was a short rest though. Damn. Reality's cruel. That was what they were doing before Morgan arrived, huh? Well, shame. This Persona 1 mobile. Oh, why did we do that? Sighting, witness statements, anonymous report, emergency call from a burner. What is all this? Why are all these tips getting reported all of a sudden after the trial's over? It smells, right? What do you mean? All this new info coming in surrounding Creek's pod. And all of it pointing towards the rust for some reason. You don't buy it? Of course I don't buy it. Do you think the Ikari are trying to point fingers at the rust after Sosuke has been proven innocent? Well, no, that doesn't make much sense. But someone's trying to pull something. Blue Bloods are the victims, and you eliminate the Ikari, that just leaves the rust. But why would they want to misdirect attention onto themselves? I don't know. Guess it can't be them doing it. The gang wars have winners and losers, right? 21, yep. Spent his last luck. Yerp. Someone stands to benefit from pitting the Reds versus the Blues. True. But find that someone is a task that even OC would struggle with. We've got our own hands full. With what? Sorting through all the false confessions and love letters addressed to heartbreak? Prep for the convention. Chief wants everything to shine. Grin and bear it. Any hair out of place in the private sector will. Phone call? Yeah, it's a family thing. Would you excuse me? No, it's fine. I need some air anyway. Hello? Whoa, hey, wasn't sure you'd pick up. Why wouldn't I pick up for my adorable nephew? What is this? Am I on speaker? We gotta stick to code names? No, I'm just going to have to delete all this later. Thanks for that. Why would you call me on this line? It's the only number I have. You haven't exactly kept in touch. I don't. Relax, man. It's a joke. Remember those? You used to be good at them. Yeah, I remember. I never took anything seriously. Only way to live. I hope you don't mean that. Do I hear a teaching moment coming on? It's like riding a bike for you. Why call me now? Take a guess. Oh, you can't. You're serious. You're the one trying to take credit for Creek's pod. Waste not, want not. No one else seems interested in it. Hey, nephew. Yes, sir? What the fuck are you thinking? The Blue Bloods will drown you. You think you have numbers? Well, they have unity. A lot less unity than they did a week ago. Creek was a flickering light bulb of low-quality hope for the young bloods. I extinguished that, and the old guards haven't even tried to retaliate. If I were a young blood, I'd start feeling pretty damn disposable right about now. You want to start a civil war? That's on your head. But taking credit for kills he didn't earn sounds like a pretty dumb way to spark it. Fake it if you ever want to make it. Don't worry, the young bloods will start seeing some real casualties soon enough. Don't do this. Do you even have permission from? Now that's all. You of all people threatening to tell mom because I'm taking initiative, because I'm stirring a pot that's stone cold. You want to act your age, urge caution, pray 3 times a day to the status quo, go right ahead. I'm gonna move. I'm sorry, didn't call to argue. This is a courtesy call. Thought you might appreciate a warning about all the smoke that'll get blown up your ass over the next few weeks. Thanks, but I'm not sold. I can't recognize bullshit when I smell it. That's good. Good to see you're still sharp. Besides, I'm not an OC anyway. You went back to arson. You're not still at homicide, are you? Thought that was like a sabbatical. No. That sucks, because I met all the guys who are in OC. I don't like any of them. Sounds like they're doing their job then. Sure. Hey, listen, I didn't mean to drop contact. Oh, don't worry about it. You picked up when I called. That's all anyone can ever do, right? Bare minimum. Yeah, well, not like I can invite you over for dinner. I guess not. Don't do anything that'll get you killed. Damn, you're full of good advice today. Got the fortune cookies for their job security. I mean it. Don't do anything that'll get you killed. There it is, the double emphasis. What do you get used to say? Redundancy, right? I remember. Believe it or not, I took every lesson to heart. Judical handheld Rockford. Hey, no, I'm glad you called. I could use some decompression. Well, I just had a loss, but don't tell anyone I called it that. Thanks. It'd be the death of me if it ever got out. Yeah, no, I read the story well, what I could. It's kind of hard to read anything between the editorializing. Right, if it gets you the resources, who cares? I don't know at this point. If I can be conspiratorial for a second, I'm not sure they want Heartbreak caught. That's going a bit far. It's more like so long as Heartbreak's out there, they want to take advantage of the moment. People are scared because of Heartbreak, the state thrives on fear. Some of the radicals are getting bold. The state will run us the chance to draw them out. Maybe after the election? No, that's okay. I've thought about it myself. I just don't want to go down that path if I don't have to, you know? Still got my pride. Really? Wow, they're taking it pretty seriously then. Affects their priorities, of course. Data is their lifeblood. No, I mean, that's great. How long will you be in town? Yeah, I'm excited to finally meet in person. We should get dinner. Yeah, definitely. Sorry if you were hoping for that kind of excitement, but no. There's no jealous ex in the picture for you to worry about. I think you'll be fine. I need to double check that I didn't miss any from this one now. Yep, nope, I didn't. I know it's Pride Month. It is Pride Month. It would be funny if Emma's straight. In a game where basically everyone else is gay, yeah, it would be. It would be that she's like the lone straight person. I guess Sosuke's straight, but you know, beside the point. Ugh. Just bi in a het relationship. That's probably the most likely thing. There does seem to be a lot of bi people in this game. Makes sense. All right. Well, it's a little early, but that is everything. So I'll hand you one of these. We'll be back with Of the Devil when new content is released. I will have to find something to do in the meantime. But until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful time. The first 2 chapters and the prologue of this were fantastic. Tomorrow, Persona 4 Golden? Question mark? I don't know. Probably. That's what I would expect, but we'll see. We'll see. Depends on how I'm feeling. In the meantime, have a great rest of your Saturday and Sunday morning, and I hope to see you then. Bye. Bye.